This is our in-depth comparison episode for the best Mercedes sedan. Which one is it? Which one would you buy? And which one would I go for? Let's find out about the Mercedes S-Class. We have it here as the S500, but also as the S63 AMG versus the Mercedes E-Class versus the Mercedes C-Class. We have it here as a C300, but also as a C43 AMG versus the Mercedes CLS. I put that one in this one here because it is not on sale anymore, but still the CLS is loved by many. You can of course always argue they themselves see it as coupe, but then come on, it has 4 doors, it has basically a sedan style with a coupe-like shape, so it is very well comparable as well, and you might go for it for a used car or something like that. And then the smaller ones, the Mercedes CLA and the Mercedes A-Class sedan. They are both kinda similar in the sizes and so on, and we will point out some of the differences. But overall, which one is the best Mercedes sedan to go for? Let's find out now with the in-depth reviews. Let's go.
If you really made it, you can buy a Mercedes S-Class. Others dream of an AMG model. Well, or you could just buy both in one vehicle. This is the new Mercedes S63 AMG. We'll tell you all about it with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here. We have 2 cars for you initially. This one here in Nautic blue, chrome frames and so on, more the classic style. And behind it, we have the little bit more sinister styling, the darker styling in diamond white Magno matte white paint and with black accentuations, a night package plus a carbon package. We'll tell you all about it in detail, and we'll drive it today here, of course, in the Los Angeles area. Remarkable here at the front, for the very first time, an S-Class gets a true AMG grille. You can here see it with the vertical fins and no standing Mercedes star on top, but the AMG badge. This vehicle here is equipped with the night package and on top of that the carbon fiber package. That means we have the carbon fiber insert here in the lower part and a rather darker frame around the grille. Turning indicators in the front, they replace the daytime running light in an elegant way. 5.34 meters or 210 inches is the length of this vehicle, and powertrain wise we have the V8, which is powering both axles actually, rear wheel bias, it's an all-wheel drive system, plus an electric motor that is just powering the rear axle. Soon more to that concept. Wheels, either 20-inch in Europe and optional 21-inch in the US. These 21-inch wheels are standard, of course different stylings, really massive. And then you can also get optionally these carbon ceramic brakes here with the bronze calipers, also very impressive element. The carbon fiber pack also adds more carbon fiber here to the side mirrors and also to the lower spoiler part. And you have this classic S-Class design style. Technology-wise, it also gets the rear axle steering as standard, together with the anti-roll control. The rear axle steering here, however, is a little bit limited. The standard S-Class, even the plug-in hybrid, would come to a maximum of 10 degrees steering in the opposite direction. Here it's just 3 degrees, and that is one disadvantage, that you have the rear electric motor here because it reduces the amount of space you can use, for example, also then for turning in the wheels at the rear axle. Towards the rear you can see the C-pillar is always the defining design element of an S-Class, and also that this part here is directly always up the middle part of the rear wheel. Very interesting, isn't it? More a round design at the rear, and the air suspension, by the way, is standard, and over a speed of 120 kilometers an hour or over 75 miles an hour, it lowers the vehicle automatically by about 10 millimeters. And the overall top speed is, with a special unlock, 290 kilometers an hour, that's 180 miles per hour. Turning indicators in the rear, this top part here with an element segmented view, that looks very modern. Here with the blue vehicle we can see how it looks like with the chrome frame around the front grille. I think this more elegant styling more fits to an S-Class, that's at least my take. What's yours? And I especially appreciate here these really polished wheels. Looks so cool, especially in contrast to the blue vehicle color. And the same counts here for the chrome frames. It just adds this extra piece of elegance to the vehicle. In the rear, biggest difference is once again exhaust here in the brighter side without the special black accentuations, and also more chrome here. Under the hood we have, ta-da, the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. Together with the electric drive, we have 800 horsepower of system output. The strongest S-Class ever. 3.3 seconds is the acceleration figure, 2.1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And how do they achieve that? Well, the normal plug-in hybrid of the Mercedes S-Class has a battery capacity of around 29 kilowatt hours. This battery is a performance battery inspired by Formula One tech from their racing team. 13 kilowatt hours, so less than half the capacity size, and also less pure electric range. With a normal S-Class PF, I could score some 80 kilometers an hour, 80 or 90 kilometers pure electric range, some 50 miles. Here it would rather be some 20, 30 kilometers max, so some 10, 15 miles or something. Then again, you have better recuperation and a stronger horsepower output. Yeah, this is pro and con of this system. On the passenger side here, you have the fuel fill. And on the driver's side, you have the AC plug, 3.7 kilowatt. Key fob with AMG badge. Flush door handles, you swipe them or open close with the key fob. They come towards you, but the haptic feedback they give you is kind of weirdo, I would say. So I'm not a big fan of that, and the aerodynamic advantage is also limited. Door closing sound is really cool actually, but for the S-Class, of course, there's then the option of the soft close like this. Inside of the doors, you have some nice carbon fiber decal element there, but then a lot of high gloss black piano lacquer use. And this here is without any feedback for the seat controls, so a step backward in comparison to the previous S63, I think. Seats so far, animal skin only. They say they are developing alternatives, but of course that's too late. It should already be available. Seating position, of course, luxury sedan alike. However, I think seat ergonomics wise, Mercedes is at this moment not on top of its game. I like the grip here, the microfiber grip of the steering wheel, and here this AMG steering wheel is always sporty, not only visually but also, you know, how you can grab it and so on. It just has the better size. This vehicle here is equipped with the panoramic roof, front and rear. It's split, and in the front you can actually also open it. And with 189 or 6'2", you still have some headroom here in the front. You can see it's not the tallest opening, but still a pretty cool option to have. Interior cockpit overview here with the vertical screen. And I think it's good that we don't have this EQ hyper screen here. I think this is a better solution because then you have more of this decor element, like here with carbon fiber, but also other ones are available, and you can always see the ambient lighting going around. Of course, you can change the colors of the ambient lighting. So many are available. Of course, even cooler in nighttime driving. On this AMG specific steering wheel, you have these controls here, for example, for the driving modes. EL would be the pure electric one, and then here when I switch to sport, you hear it, then the engine goes on, sport plus, then the exhaust note is more prominent. And on the left side, you control, for example, the suspension stiffness, or you can also tune the sound up and so on, so really flexible, and you can easily do that all while driving. And here in the instruments, you can switch from the classic view to the sport view, or also super sport. Yeah, it goes faster and faster up to track pace. And you can also get this head-up display. Infotainment system has this inbuilt GPS, is also decently responsive and quick. This is the main overview. The climate unit here, it's not too hard to control it. Yes, I do prefer real buttons and knobs and so on, but for a digital solution, you can live with it. Hey, and have you seen that? Here the climate changing ambient lighting function. That looks amazing, doesn't it? When you go warmer or colder. And that even runs through the rear doors. Wow, and that optional Burmester sound system here gives a really crisp sound indeed. Just remember, the Burmester sound systems always try to make the sound most authentic as possible as the original source. They don't deliver this bass-intensive club sound. And you can see here, this is the Apple CarPlay integration, wireless or wired, and the same counts for the Android Auto. middle console here in the front, cup holders, but they don't hold higher bottles tight enough. USB-C charger, inductive charger, and here the split armrest with more charging. Look at that, now it's time to check out the rear seating area. First of all, when I take a seat in the left part here, this is the seat as I would be driving. You can see here, this is of course the long wheelbase version, and then I have a lot of legroom left, although I'm driving in the front. Headroom, when I lean backward here, is also fine. And then you can get different setups here. This one is a 5-seater, and you can fold up this middle part here. Well, sitting in the middle part is not the focus, not too comfortable, but for short ways it would work. And then I switch over here. I took my shoes off before. Here we can fold down this then as a middle console. You have more space in here, inductive charging pad. You also have this separate screen you can take out, and then you can control here, for example, like the seating and massage functions and so on. But you can also control it here at the rear seat entertainment system. And I really like these buttons that control the rear shade, the upper shade, and also the shades for the side windows. So here you can lower or higher the window and just pull it one more time, and then the shade goes up. So easy solution. Second button I showed you underneath that is then for this top shade there, and this is just a shade, it's no opening whatsoever, but also very easy control. And the last button then there for this rear shade. And you can use these Mercedes headphones. They have actually very good passive noise cancelling, so I can't hear anything going outside around me anymore now. And if you press this magic button here, then you get this executive position here, the chauffeur mode or being chauffeured mode. I cannot stretch my legs entirely. That's however playing on a very high level here with 189 or 602, but in the Audi A8L or in the BMW 7 Series, I can stretch my legs a little bit further. You can see the lower calf rest went up. That's really comfortable. Also the footrest and so on. And that's a very great and relaxing position. Then you can also activate the massage seats alongside. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? By the way, if you wonder, can the driver still see the side mirror? That's indeed a problem here. I recently talked to the chauffeur driver in the 7 Series, and he actually told me that there it was no problem, because there the seat is a little bit smaller. The front seat is kind of like small, folds together a little bit better, and then you can basically still watch the side mirror. But here it's really a problem. But in this case probably you say like, I don't care as an executive person in the rear, especially with these microfiber cushions here. Beautiful. Ooh, and here we go, automatic seatbelt reachers. And you can also get these inflatable seat belts. It's really cool. It looks and feels a little bit weird, but they are actually, in the case of a crash, they kind of blow up like a seatbelt airbag, and then they make the area bigger where the seatbelt hits the body, and therefore all the pressure is evenly distributed. That's actually a pretty cool safety idea. And you can get this small fridge here to store your precious bottles. In this case, only water, because hey, it's an S63, so at any time I want to be able to jump from the being chauffeured position to the driver's position, back again to floor it out myself. For such a large vehicle, 305 liters of trunk capacity is relatively small. However, it's longer than 1.40 meters that you can use, and there's no separate step in here. It's the same as the normal plug-in hybrid S-Class. Of course, it's not too wide. You can see here, this is in the back part, more like a little bit over 80 centimeters or 32 inches. This big piece there, by the way, you don't have to have it. This is actually the small fridge, and you can just take it out. And here a second interior styling for you in brown. I think better than red, definitely, isn't it? And listen to this. Matte wood deco element. I think that's pretty beautiful, isn't it? Sport Plus, let's go. Holy moly. Whew. Well, that kind of was like a 0 to 50 miles an hour. And I mean, there was a situation where you say like, for safety reasons, I need to accelerate really hard to get on the road really quickly before the next traffic is coming up. And you see that was an acceleration basically in the corner, but it was very safely delivered, also due to that all-wheel drive system and so on. Pretty cool, right? So And that easily you can reach the speed limit. In the Sport Plus mode, you hear more of that engine. Everything is pronounced from that engine sound as well. But you can also go back to the comfort mode. There's a little bit more silence. Also the air suspension rules a little bit softer. But I have to say, even in that Sport Plus mode, yes, when the air suspension goes a little bit stiffer, you feel you have more control of the whole vehicle. That anti-roll control also acts in a way that the car doesn't lean to the sides, but it still gives you the S-Class feeling, even though it is in the Sport Plus mode. Not that floaty ride, no. For that, you have to go then to the comfort mode. And that to me is also a crucial thing, that when you are in the comfort mode, it still feels more or less like a normal S-Class. And I think that's a good decision here, because when you think about like a C63 AMG, there, the C63 feels way different than the normal C-Class. But here I think S-Class always has to feel like S-Class, but due to that wide span, you can make it a race machine then on hitting that knob. Of course, the big question is, as for the powertrain, how is the power delivery from that electric motor? Well, there is also this EL mode where you drive pure electrically, and you can also just accelerate by that and use the electric motor. That's possible, but as I said, driving it pure electric is not like the main focus of this vehicle. Oh, the cops are already waiting for me. They're probably Autogefühl fans watching us going by. Yeah, that's why you should keep the speed limit. It's not very easy with this vehicle here. It always tempts you to go even faster. But when you hit the accelerator pedal here with the electric motor, you feel you're getting pushed from the rear. It's actually a good feeling. And when you are in the normal driving modes or comfort modes, sport mode here, when both are combined, you hardly feel what is going on. The only thing you do slightly notice, and I felt the same with the AMG GT 4-door, where a similar system is being applied, especially also on the racetrack at that time, because the electric motor reacts so quickly. Like here, you feel that in the first moment you have this push, pure electric, and then the combustion engine sets in. And is that a good feeling, or is that artificial? I think this leaves a lot of interpretation open, because you can say, hey, it's a special thing, it gives you this kind of technology feel of the vehicle, but if you want more this purest experience, then it is something that speaks against it. By the way, beautiful highway number 1 here, close to Malibu, and maybe when you know the area, you know that there are also some nice winding corners here. And here we go. There they are. It's lovely when you hear that V8 and going uphill. And this is also one of the cases where they designed the performance battery for, that you have the performance, the maximum performance at any time, even if you're going uphill, for example, for a longer period of time. But yeah, to be honest, I personally think the normal plug-in hybrid battery, where you have higher electric range, would have been fine as well. I mean, you have the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo here under the hood that gives you more than enough power, and a racetrack use, or like a Formula 1-like use, is not so realistic for this vehicle. This is what the vehicle is actually also for. Not only nice acceleration when you're cruising, or maybe some nighttime drive, maybe showing off a little bit, and but here that you can have this luxury sedan and at the same time have great agility. And the cool thing is, to me, the steering is a really nice combination also with the rear axle steering. It feels very light and sporty, although it is a super heavy vehicle. And one of the disadvantages of the battery, or this plug-in hybrid system in general, is that the car is heavier. But due to that anti-roll stabilization, the rear axle steering, the direct crisp steering input, and the great chassis and suspension work, they kind of even out this negative effect. At some point, of course, especially when you're going downhill or when you're really way fast in the corners, then you can't deny this effect. But as far as it is possible, it still feels great in driving. It's so much fun, actually. How is it for the passenger?
Really nice.
Really nice, yeah. Yeah, because I really like to ask the passengers, because sometimes they feel like, feel a little bit stressed on the body or something, but when the passengers are still relaxed, when it's sporty driving and they enjoy it as well, then you know that it's a great vehicle. And wow, I mean, you don't even feel the length or the long wheelbase of the vehicle. That is the cool thing. And this is really a big difference here when you are in that Sport Plus mode, S63 and normal S-Class. This is where the AMG version really shines. I told you earlier, when you're going straight and want to cruise again, go to the comfort mode, make it a normal S-Class, and then put in the Sports Plus mode, and it becomes something completely different. Do I really need the hybrid system for that? In my opinion, not. It feels great, it has great power, no doubt about that. And yes, you have an even more instant acceleration somewhat, but I would have been totally fine if they would have just left out this battery system, to be honest, you know. So it has great performance, but it's not necessary really to achieve the great fun driving experience that you have just by the steering and the chassis and so on and so on. And in a way, it kills to me a little bit of this purist feeling, because I want to hear that V8 growling a little bit more, and I want basically to wait a little bit on it to react. Do you know what I mean? So I, in a way, would prefer it to be a little bit less performant, maybe on paper, but better performing, you know, from the gut feeling. You know, do you know what I mean by that? Yeah, but this aspect, on the one hand, on the other hand, on paper, of course, even more performance. That is what this e-performance version of the S63 here now delivers. And we have a nighttime driving experience for you on special request, because I know you love that, to see a special luxury car, especially also with the ambient lighting. Here, by the way, the IWC watch or clock in the digital way. You can also start that as a stopwatch. That's very interesting, isn't it? Because there's no analog one left, they came up with the idea then to make it digital. You can set the ambient lighting, by the way, also on this adaptive mode, that it switches, you know, slightly, slowly from time to time. You can also deactivate it if it's just too much playing around for you. And you also have some more effects of the ambient lighting. Showed you that to you earlier, like here the climate control. That's always a funny thing. And for example, also there's an exit warning over the ambient lighting. For example, when you want to get out of the vehicle and there's someone next to you, the car is actually seeing that, then it also has this red flashing, for example. So let's go here, a little bit more of the city traffic, and I can be in the electric mode, for example, to have no emissions then locally. When you press this button, by the way, you can also set 3 different recuperation stages. And in this case then here, for example, strongest recuperation, when I go off the throttle, really reduces, almost to a one pedal driving feeling. Or you can just set it to level 1 and then it's not too much, or level 0 even. Of course, you can always recuperate by pressing the brake pedal. That is also possible. Yeah, I mean, that is something that Mercedes has figured out very well, this nighttime driving with the ambient lighting and so on. Always pretty cool to do that. Let's see, make a left turn here. Yeah, so this makes it always an experience when you drive at night. Here you can see how it switches then a little bit around on this purple style, and it kind of also wanders from left to right. It is not as extreme as in the all-electric vehicles, where you also have this a special energy mode where it reacts to the throttle and the brake. That's, I think, a little bit too much. Here, by that, I think still a nice compromise, I would say. Oh, here, the stopwatch just ran further. You can also reset it or pick different modes, like see the energy flow of the battery. Maybe a cool thing for the passenger to see. For the driver, yeah, I think you should just concentrate on the road. This is my in-depth review of the all-new Mercedes S-Class, including Autobahn driving and a nighttime driving feature. Let's go. You're watching Autogefühl with Thomas and the all-new Mercedes S-Class V223, so the standard US version or the one with long wheelbase in Europe. Here in the AMG line, that means a sportier styling here in the front, but it's not as sporty as, for example, when you compare E63 versus normal E-Class. Here, the AMG styling is the most prominent thing is actually here in this part, this air intake. The grille doesn't look too different, and also in the S-Class, the AMG still gets the standing star in the front, which is, you know, it just fits to the S-Class, and I think it's good that they kept it here with this model. Then the lamps come standard with multi-beam LED function and optional the so-called digital light with micro mirrors, which can also project things on the road actually. And here just only one daytime running light stripe. I think that's not a good decision. They now differentiate it with dots. So the S-Class gets 3 dots, the E-Class 2 dots inside, and the C-Class 1.
Okay, can we just repeat this shot and show it once more? Look how the star is mirroring in the front hood and the light reflects. Ooh.
And you have this huge sensor area. They are hidden behind this one. It looks fancy, but what I found out by mistake is like when you squeeze it, you hear that? That doesn't sound too good, right?
Oh, and what I always love, here when you have dark exterior color and then the bright interior color, mixes so well this contrast, right? The length is at 5 meters 29 or 208 inches, has grown a little bit in length if you compare it to the predecessor, and wheels come actually from 18 to 21 inch. These here are the 20-inch wheels, and I think they have a very interesting styling. Would you notice what the color is? Oh, yeah, the door handles go in. I just touched them here, yeah, barely, so they fold in and out. Soon more details to that. So the color here, it looks black, right? But if you look closely, it has some brown shade, so it's actually a very, very dark brown. Or black with brown accentuations? I don't know. Classic for an S-Class is here, this bow right there, from the from a C-pillar here. This is how you actually realize it's an S-Class, and the end of the bow is almost here at the center of the back wheel in the middle part like this. This is the typical S-Class design element and the typical sedan shape. Rear axle steering is a big highlight. Here in the rear axle, you can see it also from these shots, and it's the most important technology feature, I think, because the rear wheels can go up to 10 degrees in the opposite direction, and that actually reduces the turning circle by 2 meters. That's enormous. And air suspension is standard. Optional, you can get the e-active body control, that the car can also a little bit lean into the corner. The rear looks sleeker than before, and here these tail lamps make it at the same time wider, so a more fluent design here. This is general at the moment theme with the Mercedes design language, but it also looks, you know, less differentiating if you compare the smaller Mercedes sedans. S500 is our version for today. Always comes with all-wheel drive, says 4MATIC right here, has a rear-wheel bias. Then Autogefühl fake exhaust police, because the real exhaust on the inside. Yeah, but then this extended tip. I don't know. What do you think? I think not. So far only with BMW. Here now at Mercedes, when you open the hood, pull it twice and then it's actually opened. That's really the cool thing. Yes, I'm showing the standing star once again. That's the cool thing here. Then you can just lift it up and there it is. And you have 3-liter 6-cylinders and also 4-liter V8. And then the 12-cylinder for the Maybach version. You can also find the review here on our channel. And then there are the diesels, 3-liter diesels for Europe. And this one here, the S500, 430 horsepower, 4.9 seconds in the acceleration. And there will also be plug-in hybrids. Door closing sound. Yeah, really cool. It has some kind of vintage closing sound as well, so that's interesting. And there's also soft close here. When you approach the vehicle or you open it with the key fob, then the door handles fold out, and yeah, I'm not too convinced of that. You can press it here then again to close it. And then also, you know, when you approach it again, it should also open, yeah, like this. But I think it's making things just complicated actually. Then inside of the door, beautiful job here with the matte wood interior actually. And this is the light switch that also works pretty you know, pretty well, easy. But then here, this one button philosophy. So this is like one button field for the seat cooling, seat heating, also the memory function. And it just appears cheap when it's like just one button with this capacitive function. These are better, the window levers, definitely. Then this is the AMG line also in the interior. So we have AMG floor mats and also these aluminum pedals. And the AMG steering wheel, which has a good handle. It's really nice while driving. Has these two horizontal spokes right there. This is really interesting. Looks cool, and also the size is great. But then once again, the capacitive buttons where you have to slide, and that's especially while driving, again, not a step forward but rather backward. The seats here in a very luxurious design. These cushions here are amazing. They are just so soft and covered with microfiber. For the main seats, only animal skin available from stock. You can also request an all fabric interior. And I also think this should be in the configurator, and also a full leatherette option like Tesla is offering should also be in the configurator, like a high grade one. So they need to step things forward right there. As for the seating position, super comfortable. I just love it. It's very soft, very plush, and especially long term. I've also driven this car now, you know, almost 800 kilometers in our test here, and this was no problem at all. And one is 86 or 6.1 still leaves some headroom. This is the one then here with a panoramic roof, which has these rather complicated sliders. Meanwhile, I have a little bit of practice, but again, real buttons would be better there. And another major fail is here. This unit for the seat, it's looking still cool, but you cannot move this thing. So back in the past, for the previous generation, you could move these elements and then they were doing something. Now you kind of touch them and then the seat moves, but it doesn't give you feedback. Interior overview, 12.3-inch digital instruments, 12.8-inch central screen. And this is here all piano lacquer, so this collects so much scratches and fingerprints and so on. But here, this area with the wooden atmosphere, matte wood, just listen to that. This is so beautiful, awesome, and everyone who's looking at that vehicle said, oh my god, this looks amazing from the inside. The looks. What about the user interface? Going to take a look at that. But first of all, finish the looks here, the air vents on the top part. They also belong to the, screaming out features, and of course the ambient lighting, which is, for example, also changing if you control temperature, like here warmer, then you have these red stripes, and colder, you have these blue ones. That looks amazing. And steering wheel, once again, great form. It feels so much sportier in the AMG line with the AMG line steering wheel. But I'm not happy with the capacitive buttons here, also, for example, for the volume control and so on. The head display is always hard to see, but it offers a lot of information and even some augmented reality function. And, seen that? Yes, Mercedes star. You can also watch it here from inside the cockpit. That's, of course, a amazing thing always. Instruments, you can see here the blinking IR, so infrared sensors, and they are only visible here on camera. You do not see them with your own eyes, and they are watching you, they are controlling you. Ooh. Then here, the fuel economy. This is excellent, actually. This was now predominantly motorway driving with cruise control, and that would mean 9 liters per kilometer is 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. However, when you think more in realistic terms and so on, this can also be higher, of course, than something 10, 11 liters or some 20 mpg US, some 25 mpg UK when you drive more city or when you drive a little bit faster and so on. This was here the ideal consumption. This is not flickering in real life, by the way, only again just on camera. Yeah, I can make it a little bit less, yeah, like this. So it really depends on the camera setting, and then you can see it also here live. This is then the map all over the screen, but you also have different views, like for example this here, assistance systems view, or this view is different, and then also the whole styling and the central infotainment change. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
What's the difference between Mercedes and BMW?
Super. Business is all about competition.
Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Set temperature to 22 degrees.
Temperature is 20 degrees.
Not 22, but at least 20. Details to the screens. Here the temperature control always stays in the same place. That's good. However, it's just more effort to do it like this than with physical buttons.
And here in the lower part, this one button, this is like this whole thing is one button. That's so weird. And here also a slider for the volume, for example. I think that really downgrades the otherwise fantastic interior indeed. Here, the software, you can see here the Apple CarPlay integration. And the sound system here, Burmester's sound system, is really amazing. When you pump it up really loud, y'all, and then also have good bass and so on, you really feel it in your feet actually down there. This is so amazing, so a great sound system, really a big fan of it. Then you can go back to the Mercedes menu with the home screen. It looks like this. And the GPS is right here. And it's also, let's say, somewhat responsive enough. It also has good route guidance. I tested that yesterday on the motorway. So also, had a good rerouting and so on. So I'm actually happy with that. So most of the time I'll probably use the car internal GPS and then the Apple CarPlay system. Other interesting features are for sure here comfort, because there you can pick different massage, and the wave massage is my very favorite one. Also put it to intensive, and then it really goes like in these dots here from the top part, not sure if you can hear that on the microphone, to the lower part, and also really on the seating area. This is really amazing. And the ambient lighting, another favorite feature of course, where you can really set the different colors and so on. You can also see them here on the top right there. Red maybe, yes, it's, oh, there is pink style. Yeah, it's more red here because of the AMG. Maybe you can also pick multicolor, then it has kind of dissolving into the right doors and so on and so on. And brightness, of course, always all the way up. Oh, and that's nice here. Look at that. The visor, sun visor, is kind of double. You can fold down this, and then you have here and here actually. Yeah, including this annoying warning sign, but it's mandatory. In the lower area, you can slide this one open, adaptive cup holders, but they work for very big bottles. For taller bottles, they wobble then around these bottles, so not ideal. Then two USB-C chargers, smartphone inductive charging, but it's like way deep in there, so not the most practical solution. So in this case, then schmoozy's hidden there. And here's another area to put things actually, like a microfiber towel. And then you can have this split opening here, two more USB-C charging, and also another inductive charging mat. Rear seating area also looks amazing. Same seat structure with the quilting. And then we also have the rear seat entertainment, but I'm not so sure about crash safety for these. Definitely better without then. And then there's also another tablet here in the middle part. However, you can get a 4-seater with a fixed middle console, or this one here. This is the 5-seater version, which has the possibility to make it 5 seats or then fold down this console. And at the inside of the rear passenger door, you can press this button, and then that front seat moves like this forward. It takes a while, it goes also a little bit more upward. For the driver then, it does block the view to the right front, so that is a safety issue indeed for the chauffeur. But, well, here, that's then all about the comfort right here. Look at that leg room that is building up there. And also then here, the footrest is right here for most comfort. And then it looks like this, so super relaxing. However, with one with A6 or 6 you can not fully stretch your legs. You need to be like 180 or 5'9". Then you can also really fully stretch your legs. Or another trick is to be like a little bit sideways. Then it's also better. But I mean, nevertheless, it's very nice to relax right here and do something else. Just have that enormous space. And then again, you can make it 5 to 4-seater and have another cubby hole right here with USB-C charging, and also in the lower part you have more USB-C and also HDMI control, so you can have some interface for the screens and so on. So this is a very cool atmosphere, and the rear cushions here, just again, amazing, super comfortable. My favorite feature of this vehicle actually. And now the rear ones here can also be heated. And as you can see here, there's ventilation for the rear seats and heating, and also at the same time, for what is that? Well, for example, it's winter time and you got wet in rain or something, then you can dry and be warm at the same time. And from here you can also control that rear shade. Well, on this tablet here in the rear, you can pick the massage functions for the rear seats. However, the wave massage
for the front seats is not available here in the rear, but yeah, at least we have some other possibilities, and you can control right and left, and this is also really sophisticated. And you can also control it here, right there on the screen is also touch. And now welcome to Thomas's passive driving lounge, being chauffeured. Cornelius was so nice to do it here today, because we always take your feedback seriously. You want to see when we review a luxury sedan class, we always show me being driven. And of course the first thing I would do right here is activate this lying position, and just one press of a button right here. And I mean, but already the normal position is super comfortable here in that seat. This is of course always spectacular to see how it moves forward and upward and so on. It does block the view for Cornelius then a little bit to the right front, but yeah, here then it's about, you know, the VIP being chauffeured right here. And I was just driving in the Audi A8 in the rear, and I really have to say the seat here is way more plush. So even without this function here, of course in the A8L you also have this kind of chauffeur function, but the seating itself I feel is more comfortable here with the S-Class. And my shoes are gladly clean, so I can also put them on here. But yeah, even in the Maybach I cannot stretch my legs completely. So, but still, I mean, it's a very comfortable position here, really relaxing. And now being on the motorway zone, I could take out my, take out my smartphone and check some emails, also, or for example, or just relax a little bit. It's a little bit hot today. I can activate the seat cooling here. Ambient lighting is also followed right here, and I also have the shade right here. So, oh, that's the shade. It's the upper shade here, and then here I have the control for the rear shade behind me. That one. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. And I can also lower these shades here in the side windows. But yeah, actually to have some more privacy and a little bit less impact from the sun, that's of course a good idea. Middle console, I can fold down here for that screen, because when it's like this, I cannot reach the screen right there, without leaning forward all the way. So that's actually then a practical thing to have. So now I got the tablet running. I have basically all the functions mirrored. I have there also in the front. Then I can also activate the different massage forms. For example, here on the activating massage, and wow, that's really so relaxing. It's a very, very sophisticated massage. That's what I really fancy. So yeah, massage function is probably the thing that I would do most of the time in here with this tablet in my hand. Or maybe also change a little bit of the ambient lighting or so on from here. So at least from here, when you play around with the ambient lighting right here, then you're not distracted as the driver is, and then you can just enjoy the different colors here. I mean, these cushions here are so comfortable, and they can also be heated in the rear. That's of course another great comfortable feature. Suspension wise, also the S-Class has the most plush air suspension, I would say, if you also compare Audi A8 and BMW 7 Series. So yeah, I think for the rear passenger, the S-Class really leads it, because the other ones, BMW 7 Series and Audi A8, are more fun to drive yourself. But the S-Class is better when being driven. Trunk space is 550 liters or 12 cubic feet, and the length here is almost 120 in meters or 47 inches. And you see here, vertical wave for the cabin trolley is actually no problem. And loading things through actually just works via this middle ski hatch. You have to open it from the rear and like twice, and here like, hello. Oh, and then it stays open. That's a cool feature. Oh, and then through the ski hatch, you directly look through the infotainment system. Wow, that's an amazing perspective, isn't it? Just found out about that. Super interesting. Hey, welcome at night. And what a great song. What a great song. Gotta check this out here. Maybe watch a YouTube review. Just Google it. Google it? YouTube, search it on YouTube. Yeah. So, but we want to experience the car, and of course don't want to get any copyright issues with the automatic recognition of songs and so on. This is original Thomas Driving Lounge here at night with the Mercedes S-Class S500, around 430 horsepower from this
3-liter inline 6-cylinder, and this also has mild hybrid technology here now. So when I'm on the brakes, this EQ charge meter goes up, and so I can regenerate some of the power back again. This helps the fuel economy, and you can drive this car actually, very efficient. So my best result for long-term motorway driving is indeed some 9 liters and 1 kilometers, which is then some 30 mpg. That's excellent for this kind of engine, for this kind of size. Of course, if you have more city traffic, then it's more going. Oh, look at that, the adaptive light, the digital light is already active. Oh, it's also illuminating the speed camera. Very dangerous at night, you cannot see it before. Wow, it begins here directly with spectacular action. You can see here how the how the left and right is illuminated, and then cars in front of me are being spared out, that they are actually not being blinded by the light. So that's a great feature indeed, and it's just done automatically, and we will more and more experience. We're going way through the dark into the countryside that we can see more of that light. And I mean, from both cameras, I mounted this camera here today a little bit more behind, that you can also see this area here to the right, how it looks so cool when it's illuminated at night, and even continue further onto the rear seating. This is actually one of my favorite features, both in the new S-Class and also in the Mercedes EQS, that they look so extremely stunning at night. This brings so much more emotion to it, and I just love driving this car at night. The standard air suspension is set on such a soft tone that you really still feel that's an air suspension. And then you put on your favorite songs, put on your favorite ambient lighting, and you can just really flow through the night, I would call it that way. It's really excellent. Steering input is also very natural, I like that. So you don't have to steer too much. It's not super progressive though, but it feels very natural. And here with the AMG line steering wheel, the car is indeed better to control and feels sportier just by this smaller size steering wheel. I really do prefer that. So that would be my number one reason to go for the AMG line, that you get this steering wheel. Both have the BS capacitive buttons on the steering wheel anyway, so then at least you can pick the sportier one and not the one with the, I always call it with the famous slot. You heard me? Slot design. It also has a slot design here, this one, but the other one has a slottier design? Can you call it that way? Wow, that looks amazing now in this camera, right? Wow. I mean, I see the picture myself. Wow, this is slow. Then here, traffic light view, red traffic light. There is, you can see here the red traffic light. Because sometimes it can happen when you're standing, in a critical situation towards the traffic light, you cannot see it. Then you see it here on the screen. At first, I was thinking this is a really lazy feature, but there are some situations where it is indeed really useful. When we're driving up here now, I can put it to the sport mode, and we can also hear something more from the engine, but it's really, the damping is really subtle and such a good insulation from the vehicle. You probably hear it. You almost hear nothing from the outside. That's just fantastic with this vehicle. And there are a lot of things we can play around with, especially at night here in the infotainment system. This always has to be said. There comes now a big disclaimer. Do not do it while driving. I'm not a good example what I'm doing right now. I have some practice doing it. And I really try to focus still on the road. Yeah, but it's always somewhat dangerous to play around with that screen. That's always the thing why I also prefer manual climate knobs. At least they stay in the same place here all the time. And I can show you when I'm changing the temperature here. Now it's getting a little bit colder outside now, though it has been a warm and nice day. Here when I put it warmer now, we have this, it goes all the way into the doors. It looks so amazing. When I want it colder again, the same thing happens then with the blue light, no matter which light I have initially set it to. And this is still also one of my favorite emotional features. And it's not such a complicated move to program that, but it's such a great idea. So whoever had that idea, I mean, I know a lot of Mercedes engineers are always watching, so greetings to you also as well. Here and then they ask me about certain things I didn't review. I asked them actually about certain things they built. And so there's also a very good and interesting exchange, and also a way that when you write comments about this vehicle here, I can transport these comments through to the engineers, and they also read it in the comments themselves. And so indeed it has, when you comment on this video, then it can really have an effect, for example, on the facelift of this vehicle, what can be made better and what needs to be corrected or something, or improved and so on. And this is just fantastic that it works this way, you know, nowadays. And of course, everything also thanks to our great community we have here in Autogefühl. Such, you know, positive and constructive feedback discussion here always. People who are really car enthusiasts enjoy the stuff we're doing here at this moment the same way as I do. That's why we are all here, because we share this common passion. That's what I also love about, you know, my job here, and especially with you guys in the community. Well, now we're all dark here. It looks so amazing, you know, this shot, and of course this as well. And here, now you can see once again the digital light. Now we have like full power, full throttle in the front, full light throttle. Wow. This goes so far, and I mean, you know, this reflective layers here on the signs. It reflects so much, and I almost say like it reflects too much actually. Now this hairpin corner that's coming ahead. That looks also really very well illuminated. See how there it builds up again. Wow. That actually, you seen that? There, it saved some parts out. Interesting. Maybe that's because of, it's maybe thinking like, oh, there's, when something is reflecting, that might be a car or something. That could be. Wow, have you seen that? There were parked cars at the side of the roads, and the lights spared out the vehicles which were parked at the side of the road. That's super interesting, and you only experience that really when you do such an extensive night drive. And I really this time, you know, like took a lot of time with this vehicle, drove it almost like 1,000 kilometers now, that they could really share, you know, even more experience with you. We have almost full moon, so this is like a really moody night ride we have here. And we have the colors here for the ambient lighting, and we have also the brightness effect, and you can not tune it all the way up, or I can tune it all the way down. Look at that, how it looks like here. Look at that! I'm disappeared. And now you see, like, this is the huge difference. This would be the vehicle without any ambient lighting. And we know a lot of vehicles that do not have that. Look at that, what a difference it's make. In like half, it's already like, wow, amazing. And let's see the difference. Full off. So I'm intentionally driving very slow now, just, you know, for safety precautions. And then all the way up. Oh, no! Yeah, that's what happens. What happened there, you know? Did I I have no idea what the... Okay, brightness, here we go. Full off. And now, let's move it full on. Yeah. Energize. But, oh, we have changed the color. So monochrome colors. This is my, like, you know, ocean blue is really... Oh, there's a multicolor. Like this. So you can pick the individual. This is like, you know, like a circus, you know. Here you could also go, for example, for a green one, like this. Fits it when I'm driving a little bit slowly, more efficient. Maybe more on this spectrum here. I mean, it all looks somewhat amazing. Or more like pink. This looks, oh, that's deer. Oh, sweet. A little one, actually. Very slowly now. I've seen the light here building up, so it jumped off the road. So especially like in nighttime, of course, we have to be even more precautious here in the countryside routes. Wow, this is really, there it is. I hope you can really see that very well on camera. How it sometimes closes and then builds up like a cascade once again. to have the full lighting. This is really spectacular. And this looks also amazing. Or what I also really like is here this, some kind of purple color. I think this, this purple color always looks so special, that it would be something unique. That's, I think, the thing of that. So, or maybe like a little bit more in the bluish tone, like this one, This is more like a purple style. I think it also looks really amazing. And let's go to the multicolor mode. There you can see actually that you see you have here like a dissolve from the middle part, then through the outside parts, left and right. This looks also really, really spectacular. Yeah, I mean, you don't even know where to look at, like ambient lighting, infotainment screen, how the light is being built up and back again. When we have lanterns on the street, there it is, Then it goes back again, so you're like, okay, we're in like the rural side, there's lanterns, and maybe like people, other cars around. And there it is, lanterns are gone, full light throttle, automatically again, and this is really cool. And because it can really, take off some of the individual pixels from that, individual LEDs. And this one is even working here with this, with these micro mirrors, which can serve as projectors even. So in future scenarios, something can be projected onto the road for us, for example. You can so individualize the light that you're not blinding others. And I mean, I remember, especially like from the most recent Land Rovers, or Range Rover Velar or something, with the automatic headlamps with high beam, the function was working, but it was blinding all cars all over the place. And I always got reactions like from people like, "What are you doing?" It's like, sorry, it's a car. It's to be done automatically. So I always had to deactivate that function in the Velar, because so many people were like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? You're absolutely blinding us." And I was like, well, what are these? Okay, they're complaining because of the light. That was very interesting. So here we go now again. The light should build up. There it is. And then full light throttle. Meanwhile, we have other. Whoa, that looks fancy, like with the contrast to the top and the bottom. That looks really fancy. This one. Jungle green. Venice pink. I mean, this is also wow. And then driving with that one through Venice. Yeah, Malibu sunset. This is also really amazing, right? Really a way to be back in the States as well, as soon as Corona regulations allow it. Wow, and this is also really, I love this ambient. When it's more multicolor, it's even more spectacular. And let's just use it now, because we're right here at the motorway, have it on multicolor, and to sports mode. And why not do it sports plus, for the sake of fun and this multicolor lighting. Let's go 50 kilometers an hour and accelerate it out. Let's go. That's 200, 125 miles an hour. And how silent the car is just amazing. That is just amazing. And how well the car is to control, and look how far we can see ahead with this light. That's really amazing. Sports plus mode here. Suspension is also a little bit stiffer. I have more control of the vehicle, and it's definitely one of the best silent cars on the road. So well insulated now on the brakes, and considering it's such a heavy car, still feels very good and controlled while braking. It is not the sportiest sedan, so BMW 7 Series or an Audi A8 do feel way sportier. Indeed, yes. So that's the question, what you prefer. Here in the S-Class, the special thing is that you still get this carpet-like driving feeling. That's also, I think, a really cool thing to have. Malibu Sunset another time, like this. And then we have these energizing comfort features. This is also interesting. So they combine actually like the vents, climatization, and ambient lighting for driver. Or why is it separated? This is like refresh now. Then we also have the animation here in the screen, and I also feel like it's also using this scent machine, perfume machine, which can be quite annoying at times. Oh, that's like a vehicle fail. Now I have also this kind of perfume scent, and I also have a massage now, like a vibrating massage in the seat. Very interesting. So this is kind of to waken me up a little bit. Oh, and then the seat ventilation is also on. That's interesting. Wow, very cool function. So interesting to have these different schemes, and this is then really to make like, Thomas, don't sleep yet. Let's wake it up. I mean, we have almost midnight, so I really took this night ride as authentic as possible, joining me here midnight in the vehicle. It looks really cool with this animation here. And I'm not sure, can you see it on camera? The almost full moon. There's even sound here coming from it. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can't see it, but it's really almost full moon, so this creates also this very special atmosphere here. So we've tested that one. Now here, exit of the motorway, and we'll soon get on it again. There's something sound like music happening here as well. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? So, and then warmth. Cozy warmth by means of heated seats and surfaces with yellow, whatever. What's in it? Ooh. Now we get this one, and I get seat heating. And the traffic light view. Thank you. No, that's not part of it. So this animation now, heated seats, and I haven't seen, have you seen if the temperature changed as well? I didn't pay attention to that, so maybe we can pay attention to that next time. Then we have vitality, provided by stimulating light and stimulating light. What's that supposed to mean? Let's see. Whoa, interesting. Look at that. Oh, the light is changing. Indeed. That's interesting. I also have some sound feedback, and also the seat massage is active. Wow. Haven't ever tried all of these features yet. I mean, so is that music copyrighted? The YouTube algorithm will know afterwards. I'll take the chance. That's also very interesting. So then, joy, relaxation, and sunlight lift your mood. Ooh. They have really cool animations here, right, in the screen. That's cool. Still have some seat massage. But it's still so warm. I mean, just the short period of seat heating made it really warm. I have to put on the seat cooling now once again. So that was joy. Even more, well-being. Enhance your feeling of well-being using warmth and soft colors. Let's see. Different color change here. Different animation. Ooh. And also this moody music, just like very subtle in the background. And people riding this bus there probably look over and think like, what the hell is this guy doing? He's like playing games in his car or something. Well, we are kind of playing games, right? So, in a way. Oh, there's another scent, you know, like a. This really smells like a very expensive perfume. It's a nice scent, you know. So I'm not sure if it like would be annoying over time or something, but this is really, wow, very impressive. So this is kind of, you know, using technology in a nice and surprising way, you know, that they can combine all these features together there. This is really, you know, one of the things where you can say king of luxury here. Very interesting. Well, what about training? Exercise for relaxing muscles and activating or improving activeness. Okay. Muscle stimulation.
Welcome to 10 minutes of muscle activation.
What? 10 minutes?
Small, subtle movements.
Really?
boost muscle
Now?
coordination and the health of your back.
But unavailable at current speed?
Interrupt the exercise as soon as the traffic situation requires.
Okay.
Carrying out the training exercises lies within your responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Select a straight posture for all exercises that follow.
Yeah, probably it's more like, you know, that we can see the content when the car is
Start with
staying.
shoulder movements. Move your right shoulder far back in circles. Your motion is restricted due to the fact that your hand is on the steering wheel.
Yeah, I
Keep
know.
your hand steady on the steering wheel.
Yes, ma'am. And
Make
can I
the
also do
movement
acceleration?
Smaller and smaller. The smaller,
Goodbye.
more subtle the movement.
Okay, I rather concentrate now on high-speed motorway driving at night, right? So that's the thing. But that's
Now
interesting.
Move your left shoulder far
Okay.
back in circles.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I said cruise control, but yeah, maybe like the workout is not the best thing to do now.
Then
So
make the movements
yes,
smaller and
yes, thank you.
smaller.
Goodbye. Tips for spontaneous exercise for various reasons.
Now move both shoulders together to the
Uh,
back. Your shoulder blades should almost
Let's go
touch.
back to vitality. That was cool. So now cruise control here on the motorway while enjoying the vitality. And the cruise control is holding me speed-wise, distance-wise, car in front of me, and also at higher speeds, really controlling if I'm going left or right, holding me very well here in the lane, and also with a very smooth process. Now there's a vehicle approaching that is even driving faster than me. How's it possible? Blind monitor, and oh, this will probably cost you the driver's license. Yeah, realized it now. So we had to reduce the speed in now. Wow, that music is now a little bit. Whoa. Woo! We're in a music concert. Well, you can. Well, it's good that you can actually adjust it, you know, and you can also turn it off. Then here at the steering wheel. And good thing is also, like one click on this slider is muting the volume, and that's actually it. Wow, I mean, this has been a nice experience here at night, and I could do this for hours and hours. And just let me know if you really like this special content here at night. Daytime driving with even more car features, normal car features, so to speak, is coming up right now. But tell me in the comments, please, if you like this nighttime driving special, and if you want to see that with more cars, and if yes, then with what vehicles do you want to see these night rides here? And if we should make them separate or if we should include them in the review, let me know what you think. And wow, this has been really an immersive experience together with you guys. Now let's switch on the light. Welcome to the German motorway, now at day, sports mode. We're at 100 kilometers an hour, and let's see. Plop, that's 160 kilometers an hour. That went quite quick. The engine not that notable actually, so rather subtle. The 6-cylinder we have here in the S500, but still quick acceleration. And in the sports mode we also have some more feedback from the suspension, so it gets a little bit stiffer. Still, even in the sport mode, the car is set in comfort, and wow, I mean, this is so silent here, 170 kilometers an hour, and you hardly hear anything. So the noise insulation is, yeah, probably the best in the industry, or among the best in the industry. That is so cool. And I really like this AMG steering wheel. As for, you know, the steering input, the looks, and you know how you can touch it from the, you know, from the form, from the size, and so on. Yeah, the capacitive buttons, they still get on my nerves, also when using the cruise control and so on. Here at the moment, road is blocked, so I can just as well use the cruise control. and it immediately also sets in with the lane keeping assist, and you're supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel here with the level 2 system. Level 3 system is available now with the S-Class and allowed in some markets. And this is really interesting. We have an EQS driving review with an autonomous level 3 demonstration. That's very, very interesting. But here you can see, didn't even touch the steering wheel. Car is being held in the lane. Very impressive. And how smooth it is, like not like wobbling around and stuff, and still not saying I have to get, no, I get the information, and oh, that even went away without me doing anything. So usually it's capacitive here, steering wheel, so I just have to touch it and then that's it. Here like this, there we go, and the warning message is gone actually. So very impressive how the assistance systems work here in this all new S-Class, and the whole driving dynamics, the whole driving feeling, the calmness in the interior, this has even more been improved. And my point once again is the user interface is worse than before. Everything else, driving wise and so on, is better than before. Yeah, it's still some kind of a trade-off for sure, but I mean, driving wise, the vehicle still amazes me. This is such a cool ride. Once again, the long wheelbase version or the US version V223 we are driving here now, so especially relevant for all US viewers. And this is globally the S-Class. So they develop the S-Class from this version, from the long wheelbase one, and then cut something out for the short wheelbase, basically. Usually it's the other way around when driving, when developing short and long wheelbase vehicles here, they really start with the long wheelbase. Interesting, by the way, that I see in the head-up display like a mark where the car in front of me is, but I wonder, what is this kind of over technology? Why do I need like a line, a digital line following the car in front of me? I see that car, but I don't get it really. That's, I think, just playing around with technology without having much sense in it, I think, Well, the car literally drives itself. So this is also a reason you can relax pretty much here, especially on long motorway rides. And this soft cushion is just really amazing. At the same time, you always have enough power reserves also to do some nice accelerations, as we've shown to you. And now it gets also interesting because we'll switch motorways, so from one to another. And motorway changing in Germany is, to me, more fun even than using the unlimited high speed we have at some motorways, not at all, and also not really long parts, usually not, because these motorway changes, they are always, connected with some nice curves and bends and so on. This is a lot of fun actually. So here we go. Brake feeling, by the way, also very decent. You do feel the weight of the vehicle in the corners, that's for sure. Can't deny that it's a big car. So if you think about, for example, S-Class versus E-Class, then the E-Class will give you more driving dynamics, and meanwhile with all the technology packed in. So this has been a scheme over the last few years, So often have we seen that the small cars already get now what the big cars have, even really down below to an A-Class or something. So more and more features are not especially unique anymore to the very, very big segments. Yeah, that indeed speaks against going for the high spec model. I mean, some things are newly introduced, like the augmented reality head-up display and so on, and screens in the middle and some. But again, controlling that screen or the temperature while driving is really doubtful. What's not doubtful is that we still have a good acceleration, so couldn't get so fast here in the corner, but at least now. To cancel that acceleration, leave that SUV by. Yeah, but you see here, changing between accelerating and braking again is really decent. And now we're already at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. I mean, especially our US fans must be like, this guy is somehow nuts, because I know we're at 200 kilometers, 125 miles an hour. Yeah, 90% of the world's population have never driven at that speed, and this guy, I know, yeah, it's Germany, it's business as usual. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it still is. There will probably be a speed limit coming ahead in Germany, and there's big discussion about it, of course. And I always say you have to differentiate between what you like driving yourself and what is actually better for society to do. Yeah, and that doesn't have, to be equal always, Here at higher speeds also, when you shake it a little bit up, So, yeah, you feel the air suspension is still set on a soft tone, even if you're on a sports mode. So you feel the car is moving somewhat, but that's also, let's say, okay, because it differentiates this vehicle. The S-Class, and especially when you go to the comfort driving mode, when you have some waves inside here, inside the road, then it really goes like floating, like without being too exaggerated or something. But when you would have an Audi A8 or a BMW 7 Series, for example, they rather have the sporty approach also in the base version, and the S-Class is more, once again, the luxury comfort focus with a rather floating air suspension. And I think as for air suspension, that's good, because I enjoy, for example, like the BMW adaptive suspension is one of the best suspensions there is in their big vehicles, and you don't need an air suspension then actually. But when you go for an air suspension, I think the Mercedes approach is cool, that you still tell the customer, hey guys, this is an air suspension, you feel it because you're like flying in the air. That's, I think, a cool approach, and it has to be that way. With the AMG models by Mercedes, they still pick the air suspension nowadays and then make it so stiff that is that an air suspension? Wait a minute, that's even worse in comfort than an air suspension. What is this? I think that's totally unnecessary. Why would you do that? Then you can go for another, normal steel spring or whatever, or make it adaptive dampers or something. So here, once again, really relaxed feeling on the motorway, and you really can have both performance and also then the relaxed feeling. And I think also the engine here is a good price performance. Will be the entry-level engine in the US once again, and the V8 will have worse fuel economy and will just add more weight to the vehicle. That's the thing, So, and this is already a heavy vehicle, 2.1 tons, and try to keep the weight down. Then try to keep it lower, or at least not push it even further, So because that's the thing, Also when you compare it to, let's say, like go for an E-Class and S-Class, you have some more luxury features here, but you feel just that the car is indeed heavier. That's then the main difference. So controlling that thing here while driving, the best thing is then to use the voice control, because stuff's getting overcomplicated here. For example, hey Mercedes,
How can I help?
start wave massage.
I'm starting the wave massage for you.
Thank you, so kind of you. So, there it goes. Oh, no, that's the music. So there it goes with the wave massage, and well, this massage program the wave massage is the best one to me actually, because it really goes like in these dot waves and across the whole body, and even also on the seating surface there. And not all massages do that, and so that really keeps you fit also during long motorway rides, and I really, really like that. So let's switch here to the middle lane, because there will be some other guys probably want to go faster than allowed. And the good thing for us for that is we can show the blind spot monitor then. And there's the Mercedes GLE coming up. And then we can also see the blind spot monitor in the side mirror. Here we go. There's the red triangle, and when I also hit the turning indicator, I also get the acoustic warning and also the triangle. What is this? Okay, that happened. Whatever. It's a new GLE generation. You can see it in the tail lamps. They are more. Oh, it's direct competitors. Mercedes GLE and BMW X5. So both, of course, great ride, and you should check out the reviews here on Autogefühl of these two, definitely. Yeah, people are taking looks here, we see it from time to time at the new S-Class. Well, but from the rear, you have to see now, all the Mercedes sedans look kind of the same now at the rear, so it's not that much, uniquely standing out or something. Yeah. Digital instruments, by the way, so I have a clear view. The only thing is that I'm not sure if I'm like super special as for my torso height or something. I think not, but I tend to keep the steering wheel lower because, I'm very well in control and not doing like this, And also, when you want to drive a longer way but still want to, have a good control of steering wheel, you can use the left armrest here and the right armrest, and then you have like stable rest. You can keep the steering wheel straight and in control, and when you want to attack, you just lift your arms and there we go, So, and for that reason, I rather keep the steering wheel a little bit lower, and then the upper part of the instruments are a little bit locked, and also there are these infrared sensors in the front of the screen saying like this, are you tired mode? And the screen is also telling me like, move the steering wheel up, Thomas, I can't see you. Wait a minute, that's actually a good, privacy mode, right? So leave me alone with your something, I'm watching you. Just put the steering wheel, like, when you are in front of your laptop and you use a sticker to shut the cam off, actually, so no one, while you're doing your Zoom video conference, can see that you're sitting in front of your desk in, just in shorts or something. So once again, it's one of the best motorway vehicles there is. So comfortable, so relaxing, so silent. That is, once again, really top notch. And look at that ambient lighting. You can even see it at daytime when it's a little bit darker. I just love that ambient lighting thing. The only thing that comes above that is the Mercedes EQS. There, the ambient lighting looks even more kick-ass.
It's time to take a spin with the all-new Mercedes E-Class, this new generation of the famous business sedan. Do we even still need an S-Class, or is this just right enough? Here with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the new front, new headlamp design, a little bit more playful, I would say, around here. Daytime running light integration, also completely new grille. We can see this is here the AMG line with the micro star pattern. The base avant-garde would also look kind of similar, so there's not a big differentiation between the base and the AMG line visually. AMG also features here these more sporty accentuations in the lower part. This color here is called Alpine Grey, a very beautiful one. It is not a matte color, but it already has somewhat of a matte look, and I think it's pretty cool. Here also in combination with the night package, that means that the side mirrors, for example, are blacked out. You also have black frames around, but of course you can still stick with chrome frames around the window. Length 4.95 m or 195 inches, not a big change, slightly 3 centimeters 1 inch. That went into the wheelbase. Let's see if that has a significant effect on the rear legroom later on. Wheels 17 to 21 inch. These are 20-inch wheels, pretty massive already. Multi-spoke design, also with some aerodynamic character. I think it looks very cool here, this black-gray contrast, doesn't it? Rear axis steering is also a technology highlight. And there you can see it. The rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, maximum 4.5 degrees. And it comes together in a package with the optional air suspension. This vehicle is also equipped with that one. It's air suspension on both axles. The plug-in hybrid and the Estate would actually come standard with air suspension at the rear. And then again, you can upgrade to the full air suspension. However, rear axis steering only available here for the classic sedan form and not for the Estate or for the wagon. The base suspension, by the way, has already selective dampening. What does that mean? So they're not actively adaptive. You cannot adjust them in the infotainment system. But when they actually get the different bumps, they rule in a different way depending on the speed of the bump, on the impact it gets. And that is standard. But then there's no adaptive suspension in between. You directly go from the base suspension to the optional air suspension. That option in the middle is gone now. To the rear, that's super interesting because we have a completely new rear design. It goes through, but the middle part is not illuminated. But here, that's also one of my favorite features here. Look at that. The tail lamp signature forms these tiny stars, a cool new signature that differentiates also the E-Class right now. And in the lower part,
Autogefühl fake exhaust police alert, because this is a clear case for a fake exhaust, not with the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. Turning indicator check here in the front. Looks pretty cool on top, right? Really wide area. Turning indicators in the rear, well, not that spectacular. And if you want a change of styles, oh, how did that happen? You can go for a Nautic blue one. Very beautiful blue color. Here you can see the light nuances in the sun. And this one is here also the exclusive line, the more traditional E-Class look. Here you can see this more traditional chrome frame grille with horizontal chrome spokes. Here the sensor field, that one is a little bit more prominent than in this grille. And here, of course, the standing star on top of the hood, the typical one. Yeah, you know, it's being ripped off many times when they're just standing on the road. So yeah, better keep it in a closed garage, definitely. But I think it has something, this very elegant look. But which one do you prefer? The more traditional one or the more modern, more sporty one in the AMG styling? Tell me in the comments. Here at the side profile we can also see, once again, 20-inch wheels, but a little bit different styling here, also with the bright spokes. And then we have the chrome frames around. This one you can also combine freely. For example, you can go for an AMG line, but don't go for black frames, but for the chrome frames. So it depends if you take the night package or not. Without a night package, you have here also the blue normal vehicle color side mirror caps. So once again, more elegant in the side profile, and the same counts also for the rear. You can still get a classic key fob, but the philosophy of Mercedes is now also to encourage people to use their phone, for example. Just have it here in your pocket and then you slide right here. They have the flush door handles. Not the biggest fan of that. They also give you here some kind of feedback, but it's kind of weird, I feel. Door closing sound is really solid, like that. And what you can also do is then, for example, also lock the doors here in the Mercedes Me app. You also have this locked confirmation, for example. And you can also have different things like trip data, your consumption, digital key, over-the-air vehicle updates, and so on. So yeah, a little bit more functionality in this new generation, of course. Then let's open it once again. Inside of the doors here, that looks actually quite good from the build quality. In this new generation, you have these high-gloss black panels like in the C-Class, S-Class, and so on. And this one does not give any haptic feedback anymore. I think that's a wrong development by Mercedes. Here, still good from these levers, and also nice, we have the brown interior and also then the brown felt at the inside here. So this is also different than, for example, if you compare lower Mercedes models, that here we also have this fabric covering on the inside. This all new interior, being the AMG line, you also get the AMG steering wheel with the two horizontal spokes with hashtag capacitive BS buttons. Not too easy to control while driving, that's the catch actually. And then I found this here, a very tiny detail, but from a build quality, I think this gap here, critical. I don't see that this is doing any good. I don't know. But I have to say the rest of the interior, for example, looks actually even better than the S-Class, I feel. These seats here, optional animal skin equipment, but you can also get the Artico man-made leatherette. And that is, of course, more animal friendly and also less in the CO2 output. And the color would be actually the same. You get brown, black, gray, and so on, beige. And seating comfort here, it's typical E-Class business sedan comfort. Headroom, 189 or 6 for 2. Still leave some headroom, no problem. Although this one here is the panoramic roof. Yeah, this one here indeed has a roof you can still open. This slider function here is doubtful. You have this shade here, lucky to have that, especially in hot temperature. And then slide once again, or maybe 5 times, or 6 times, or 7 times. Or, there we go. And then the real roof is opening, and that opening is actually quite wide. You can also use the voice controls. I fear it doesn't work for closing. Close the sunroof.
Please close all doors to use this function.
Close all doors first. Sorry. Let's try again. Close the sunroof.
Closing the sunroof for you now.
That works. Not sure if it also works in the US because of different safety regulations, but that also works with the rear roof, not only with the shade. By the way, you maybe saw or heard that I did not say "Hey Mercedes" first. And the thing is, if you are alone in the vehicle and you see this small symbol in the top of the infotainment system, then you can also
Unfortunately, I
put
could
the
not find.
voice commands without saying "Hey Mercedes" first. So when you have a co-driver, then they say, "Hi, you know, we don't know where the voice is coming from. Maybe people are just talking and so on." But when you're alone, then you can use this new function, making the voice control easier. This cockpit layout here with digital instruments, then this super screen, 14.4 inch, not hyper screen because it's not that large, and you can also get this passenger display. Digital instruments also available with 3D effect you can't see on camera, and you can change the whole styling, sport or also full screen map, but that's just for the car internal GPS. And you can also get this head-up display with GPS information. Whoa, wait a minute, what is this? Yeah, that's for the camera app. You don't have to go for that one, you can. There we go. And then you can, for example, take selfies or use that one here for video conference calls. But what do you think? Is it bad for data security? Hey Mercedes, is it bad for data security? This is the car internal map, and then you have this new app view. I think that's cool because while driving you can better press these huge buttons here, for example, and also for the Apple CarPlay integration, which is not fully, I would say, has to be limited somewhat because it's a wider screen. And yes, you've maybe already seen it, you can also play Angry Birds. Also think in case of over-engineering, why would the vent controls be digitalized, that they move after you control them here in the infotainment system? I don't see any good reason for that, but luckily you can still just do it manually. So the infotainment system has a better overview, it is quicker, has more functionalities, but then again, the climate unit, you have to press in the lower part, then slide this one plus, minus, all the voice control, no real dials.
I can do things for you. How may I help you?
Thank you. Yeah, it remains the problem. The user interface, I think, not easy enough. And this symbol here in the top left, very important for European customers so far, maybe later also for other customers. You can deactivate the speed warning. And even better, here at the steering wheel, we hold the mute button like a little bit longer. So a short press is mute the music, and a holding a little bit longer is then activating or deactivating this speed limiter. And what is this actually? So new regulation for newly homologated cars, so they're coming new to the market, is that when you exceed the speed even just by 1 kilometer, then at every startup, and also when you stop the vehicle and then start it again, there has to be 3 warning tones in the EU regulation. So 50 kilometers an hour, 51, and it's like beep, beep, beep. And it's super annoying. And this is a very quick shortcut to deactivate it. It's a law, it's a regulation thing. So the manufacturers, the only thing they can do is implement some shortcuts like these. And Mercedes are the first ones to offer these kind of shortcuts. What's awesome here, reduction of high gloss black piano lacquer, at least in the middle console. Listen to that. Ah, beautiful. I love this matte open cell wood. Looks cool, feels cool, awesome. Then you can slide this one open, and then you have adaptive cup holders. They are not holding the bottles that tight though. In the front part here, the inductive charging pad and 2 USB-C chargers. This super screen is, how could it be otherwise, an option. And the standard screen would also fit the same size, the same screen behind it, 14.4 inch. It stands a little bit more out than here. It also fits underneath the air vents, but then the right side is left blank, and then you can work with more decor elements. And I think maybe not a bad solution at all. The same goes also, if you remember, EQS, EQE with that hyper screen, super expensive option, but then it takes away the feature of the decor element here. In this case, it's not as expensive as the hyper screen, so you won't pay so much more extra money here for the super screen, but still it's always worth to take a look into just the base setup. Rear seats, welcome right here. Take a look. This classic rear-wheel driven platform or rear-wheel biased all-wheel drive. You see here a huge metal tunnel then to the rear. This of course limits the space in the middle. But what about the sides? Let's take a look. There's a little bit more wheelbase now, and you see you have quite some space here in front of your knees. Not too much considering the length of the vehicle, but definitely enough and good comfort. Besides here, I would need more space for my elbow. That's a little bit limited. I can still put a hand over my head though, instead of the door of the rear. It's actually very nice how the quality and build quality is also from the inside. Just too much high gloss black piano lacquer once again, I feel. In the middle part, you can also slide to the inside part here. That's really hard and also a little bit higher. You can take it for shorter routes, but not ideal. You also have more hashtag capacitive BS in the middle part for the climate control, and then you have cup holders sliding out like this. Let's check out the trunk or the boot. At 540 liters here for the sedan, for the ICE version. Plug-in hybrid is limited here in height as we had in the studio. What's cool is that we have a significant length here of 115 in meters or 45 inches, and also the height here is 50 centimeters or about 20 inches, so that's actually pretty cool. Underneath we also have some space, actually a lot of space, so that's pretty cool here for the pure combustion engine version. And then a cool folding mechanism like here. I should show you better on the other side. So easy, straightforward, like this, and there we go, it folds flat, so that's pretty cool. Just this hard pack material right here, I don't understand this. Also collects so many scratches, but then here the folding flat mechanism is pretty cool. And another feature here, when we pull this button here in the top, there is this retractable towing hook and it goes out, and the cool thing is it even automatically goes in again. And here we have second interior styling for you. Fully bright color. I think also a beautiful solution. Just brings more light to the interior. Here and also with the matte wood middle console elements. Also cool in the brown style. And you maybe also saw this one has a different steering wheel. This is the exclusive line. And then you don't have the AMG two-spoke steering wheel. But that one I always call it one slot design. Yes, it's slot. Here I think the AMG steering wheel is way more beautiful, isn't it? And comparing the trunk or boot of the plug-in hybrid, you can see here, you lose something in height. Otherwise there would be the step in there, but then again you have an even loading space, and this plastic part in the back there is gone then. Yeah, but overall, of course, the combustion engine has a better trunk capacity. The only thing is, if you compare the predecessor here, plug-in hybrid, to this one now, before it had that massive step inside, this is of course now a better solution. And here then, another bag for the cable. Engines, not as much horsepower as the ship behind me. By the way, this is the River Danube in Vienna, Austria. Here, let's take a look. This is a powerful one, the 3-liter 6-cylinder from the E450, 380 horsepower plus the e-boost from the mild hybrid system, and 4.5 seconds is the acceleration figure. In general, for the all-new Mercedes E-Class, there is this 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol and also a diesel upcoming. And on a smaller scale, the 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol and diesel. Based on that, also the plug-in hybrids with around electric range 100 kilometers, 60 miles from a 20 kilowatt-hour battery. There will be rear-wheel drive versions or all-wheel drive versions, like here the E450 4MATIC, the 3-liter 6-cylinder. We'll drive that one right now. It has an all-wheel drive distribution, 45% front, 55% in the rear. Still some rear bias for that. Mercedes E-Class 450 in a new generation. Acceleration test in the sport mode. From 60 kilometers an hour, let's go. 100, 130, well, even a little bit more. Pretty quick, right? So good performance, 380 horsepower plus electric boost from that mild hybrid system. This is also equipped with the air suspension in the sport mode. It's a little bit sportier, but you feel it's classic E-Class here in that faster bend. It's not set on a super stiff note, even, oh yeah, guys throwing cigarettes out the windows. Great, especially for motorcycle drivers and of course for the environment as well. Yeah. So back to the car review. Let's go here. Motorway, 100 kilometers an hour. One more quick acceleration from 100 to 130. Yep, that's it. So yeah, that is the 6-cylinder power indeed, and it just delivers so well. Slight rear-wheel bias, so when you have the all-wheel drive like we have here today, no matter actually if 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder, you have a distribution 45% in the front,
55% in the rear, so a slight rear bias here for that all-wheel drive system, but overall pretty balanced. And here when you drive the 6-cylinder, not only for the acceleration, which is, by the way, at 4.5 seconds. Easy to remember. The E-Class E450, 4.5 seconds. Is that the reason they do that? Yeah, it has another background. It derived originally from the displacement figures and so on. But yeah, that's all gone now. But at least it matches the acceleration figure. That's good. But I also find good is even when you here go back to the normal driving mode here in the lower part, we have to switch it here in comfort mode. So at least I don't have to press it again in the infotainment system. I can just press the lower arrows here. So that's fine with me then somewhat. So when you have the 6-cylinder engine here, you can just keep it at lower RPM, and that keeps the car really calm and collected, and I really like that. And here on the motorway at 130 kilometers an hour, so like 70, 75 miles per hour, this is what the E-Class is basically meant to be. Just this luxurious experience, this air suspension, like magic carpet ride, you sometimes call it. So when you have an air suspension here, like we have optionally equipped, you really feel that air suspension. And that's also what I would expect actually. Some air suspensions are tuned so stiff nowadays that you really don't feel anymore you have an air suspension. This one does work. Here, by the way, in the GPS, the augmented reality, where you have these flying arrows and then you know with the camera image where to go, but it looks cool. Me personally, of course you could also deactivate it, I found a simple map description somehow better. Sometimes you can't really concentrate on the real world and then this augmented reality world. I found just like, a normal Google Maps guidance actually more practical, I think. When you compare previous generation to this generation E-Class here, you still feel that it has these core E-Class values. Not so much tuned to the sporty way, more to the comfortable driving experience, the luxurious driving experience. It feels a little bit more planted on the road. Of course, they have evolved and worked on suspension and all the electronic systems and so on. When you have the base suspension, by the way, it has these progressive dampening on the top, so it's not an adaptive suspension that it changes with the driving modes, the standard one, but it reacts according to the situation automatically. But here the air suspension is a fully adapted one, so when I go to the sports mode here, it's also a little bit stiffer, and then here gives me a little bit more feedback. To me, the best thing they have improved in this generation here is the steering. We've seen it now with some new Mercedes models. It is more precise and you have a better feeling for the vehicle. Here there's no dead zone area. When I do a lane change, it does it so well, and just slight movement is actually needed. I really like that new philosophy of the steering. It is sporty and comfortable at the very same time. So pretty cool actually. They have also worked on the assistance systems, so they fine-tuned all of them. You have a blind spot monitor, you have like triangles in the side mirrors, you have more elaborated adaptive cruise control, for example. And what is also now possible, and they will start that feature in the US and in Canada, that when you set the cruise control, and for example you have set a higher speed and the car is driving in front of you, then there will be an automatic lane change. Let's see at some point if that's possible actually. But here, also the car into a car in front of me, the distance is being kept very well. Yeah, the speed cameras here in Austria are sometimes behind you, so you always have to pay attention to that. So being here in the comfort mode, let's just recheck that. Yeah, I was. That's the thing, that you have to check if you are still if you're already in comfort mode or still in the sport mode, because it always gives you a lot of comfort. So I'm really a fan of this air suspension here, and one of the rare manufacturers that still follows a true air suspension philosophy. So the whole driving experience feels very sophisticated, and as I said, my favorite is the sportier steering, which is at the same time also comfortable. Here in the AMG setup here from design with the 2-spoke and so on. Noise insulation, also one of the key things here of the E-Class, has been improved further. So here at 180 kilometers an hour, like 50 miles an hour, wow, it's so super silent, you hear nothing from the outside world. And there we go. Here, So you're supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel. I just lifted them a little bit now for demonstration purposes. I had set the cruise control to 80, and then the car was realizing, okay, we would run on this car, or we would of course reduce the speed before. So then when the left lane is free, go to the left lane, hits the turning indicator yourself. The car. Well, is the car he, she, or it? Let's leave it up for the discussion. It depends, right? Is this he, she, or it? E-Class? I think E-Class is more like, you always say it's, like proper business suit. I think E-Class is more a he, isn't he? Yeah?
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, whatever. So, yeah, that was very impressive here. So a good live demonstration of this new feature, and why not? It adds some more comfort. Before it was that you had to tip the turning indicator to introduce that to yourself. And there are those jokes out there. Always depends, of course, on the car brands, but often there is this joke that BMW drivers, don't hit the turn indicators. So you can say like, oh, is there also the BMW feature that does the lane change without setting the turning indicator? Yeah, I mean, I'm frequently driving the BMW myself, so probably I shouldn't do that joke. But there are jokes typical about every car brand. Like there's always the taxi E-Class joke, like, hey, if I want to drive an E-Class, I'll order a taxi. Because especially in Germany, the E-Class has always been the taxi car. Not anymore. Mercedes wants to do luxury experience only, says, forget about taxi drivers, we don't sell them anymore. Toyota and Lexus should do the taxi business. So that's their decision right now. Also interesting, a lot of taxi drivers are furious about that, but they also told me that recent E-Class got less durable, when you compare them to previous ones. We have to see how it is with this generation here. So what we could feel, see, drive, experience-wise, wow, really outstanding. Yes, there is the user interface here, which is not ideal while driving. I like to have more physical input there. Maybe a little bit over-engineered as for the software thing, and also having like always these like the Chinese customers in mind, especially. Yeah, that's the only downside of this vehicle to me. But everything you experience as a driver then, hardware-wise, from the pure facts, from the engineering, is just awesome. And you really have to wonder, does the S-Class really deliver you more in driving? I would actually easily take an E-Class, and I don't see much more benefit now in the S-Class in this generation. Besides, of course, you have more space in the rear. The most important Mercedes model worldwide is still the Mercedes C-Class, and here it is in the all-new generation. W206 is the code, and this is the new AMG line with the front grille, which has this A shape, so wider in the lower part, a little bit shorter in the upper part, sporty appearance, and a new Mercedes star pattern in this AMG line. Soon I'll also show you how the Avantgarde looks like, and selenite grey Magno, this matte paint, one of my favorite ones, so either Thomas Blue, I'll also show you a great Thomas Blue soon, or in this matte paint. And lamps here, standard LED, and optional a so-called digital light, and with a more elaborated high beam function, it also can serve as some kind of projector. But overall, a sporty look definitely for the new C-Class for all versions. And if you don't have the AMG line, but the Avantgarde trim level here, then you have this front grille with the vertical fins like this, and so the vertical black fins and the big horizontal chrome fin. Also looks quite sportier now from the base version. With 4.75 meters or 187 inches, the new C-Class is around 6.5 centimeters or around 2.5 inches longer, and also grown a little bit in wheelbase. This will affect the rear seating, soon more to that. But the side profile here, rather classic. There's also the Estate to come very soon. Shaded windows right here, and also in this night package, which is an option. Also black covers for the side mirrors. Then wheels here today in 19-inch, different sizes and stylings available. This one is a new aerodynamic styling. Brake disc-alike styling, I would say. Overall 17 to 19 inch, so these are the biggest ones. Quite fancy, right? And of course the AMG line here with a stronger side spoiler. Suspension, base suspension, sport suspension, or today we have it here also the adaptive suspension. The air suspension is no more, But I can tell you in the driving part, I will talk a lot about the suspension. It will be quite interesting, I can promise. And another technology feature, rear axis steering. We also have it here on the vehicle today. So at lower speeds, it turns in the opposite direction than the front wheels. This is actually faking a shorter wheelbase and will reduce the turning circle. So a great technology we have not seen on the mid-size segment yet. And in numbers, up to 2.5 degrees, it turns in the opposite direction with the rear axis steering. And the turning circle is reduced by 40 centimeters or 16 inches, really massive. However, up or over a threshold of 60 kilometers or 37 miles per hour, then rear axis steering turns in the same direction than the front wheels. And this is giving more stability at higher speeds. Yeah, definitely really crucial technology, but of course also pricey. Then here design, really sleek, especially in this paint again. Horizontally drawn tail lamps. This brings more modern style and also stresses the width of the vehicle. However, you also have to think about that CLA, C-Class, even E-Class now, even the S-Class, they all look more or less the same in the rear now. And massive Autogefühl fake exhaust police alert right down here in the AMG line. I'm not sure if that is really necessary, but the overall styling, I think, to me at least, really cool for a new C-Class. Would like to hear your comments there in our section. And here you can open the trunk and see it here for the first time in the C-Class. Here the tail lamps are split then actually like this. Pretty interesting and actually quite good accessible. This is in the sedan trunk, 455 liters and 1 meter or 40 inches in length. And the height here for the sedan, about 20 inches or 50 centimeters. Backpack easily fits in there, and then we can release the seats from here. And this is really very well done. Hardly see that with the sedan that this works. We don't have to go around. Immediately we can load all the things through. Well done. Even a little bit better with the Estate, I can tell you. As for engines, 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel, then the 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine and a 2-liter petrol engine. This one here today is C300, 258 horsepower, mild hybrid technology, optional all-wheel drive. And I think I would really go for this one, not for the lower displacement engine. You know, rather pick a little bit more displacement and then a little bit less in the horsepower figure of the each individual spec. That's definitely better for the engine. Next to mild hybrid technology, also real plug-in hybrids available. 25 kilowatt hour battery, so quite big for this segment. And that means up to 100 kilometers or 60 miles of pure electric range. That's of course really promising. We also have one driving part already with the plug-in hybrid. You can also tune into that video. Yeah, and the only thing real sports car fans have to swallow, with the 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engine, that will also come for the AMG models, for all of them. The new car key is quite fancy, sculptural alike. Then door closing sound. Not quite solid, but we heard it better, definitely. So a Golf, for example, has a better door closing sound. Then inside the doors, actually good build quality. This element here looks a little bit spaceship-alike, but doesn't look too much premium. And here, then the capacitive buttons here for the window control. I also talk about that while we drive the vehicle. It's not a step forward, definitely. This one here looks fancy, I mean, to control the seat, but also this one here is more like touch and don't, you can't really move it that much. So not sure where this is heading. I mean, it's fairly easy to control. And here, one button. This is all cost saving, so one button for all these functions. This is seat cooling, by the way. I don't know, where is this heading with the automotive industry? Tja. Then interior. This is visually actually really fancy. AMG line steering wheel. There's also another steering wheel available in the non-AMG line, of course. Digital instruments, everything digitalized, and nice ambient lighting here in the air vents, and they also look really, really fancy, right? And the whole cockpit is also leant towards the driver. Seating here, in this case here, this is animal skin spec, but you can hardly see it. I'll soon also show you the animal free seat, which is also as good as this one in different colors and trims and so on. Comfortable seating position, and with millimeters 86 or 6'1", still have some headroom left. Yeah, I can put the seat a little bit lower like this, you know, but it's better actually when the seat is a little bit more upright, because that way I'm falling backwards at the moment, and when I put it a little bit higher, then the seat surface is a little bit more upright. Electric control here for the steering wheel, not necessarily in the lowest trim version though. And the steering wheel really looks cool, but then again, capacitive functionality once again. I mean, am I complaining too much about capacitive button?
Or what do you think about capacitive buttons? Because I always make the experience that while driving, it's really hard to control. However, here, these digital instruments right there, they're actually quite fancy and they are really fast. So good processing power. So when you, for example, here hit the nav screen like this, you have a GPS integration all over the place. This is really fast. So even faster than the central infotainment system, and of course really large than overall. And now let's take a look at the different trim and also other color from the inside actually. Look at that. We have some other decor elements and most importantly this seat here. So the Artico leather red high grade is available here in bright, but also in brown and in black. And look at that, it's perforated, even has seat cooling available. That's really cool, and it's really soft and plush. So it feels great, no one would see a difference. This is one of the best examples to use alternative materials that are more sustainable and more animal friendly, yet at the same time, no compromise on comfort or luxury features. So when I'm sitting here now, it's the very same comfort. No one could really tell the difference. Really soft and plush. And once again, since you also have the seat cooling right here at the inside of the doors, you can also stay cool, although you have a slick surface. You know that fabric surfaces usually stay cooler in summer and are also warmer in winter. But then again, some of you guys also want surfaces that are able to wipe clean them easier or something, or just want this look or the feeling. On European markets, you can also still get fabric seats. They're also quite attractive. And also a mix of fabric on the inside and this Artico leather red on the outside. And then for all markets, you can get here the leather red seats. Again, as I said, in black, beige and brown. So this really wide variety of choices, which are also animal free. That's well done and the quality is really superb. But you know how it is with the German premium manufacturers. This screen, the 12.3 inch, is an option. Standard would be 10.25, a little smaller one. And also on the right side here, like in the new S-Class, this vertical screen, this is also an option, 11.9 inch. A smaller 9.5 inch would be standard. And then the good thing is you would have, I heard at least, some manual climate dials here, and I would prefer that. So don't go for the biggest screen, because then the climate unit here is in the screen, and we all know once again it's okay, but it's harder to control. So you can do it, but maybe you don't want to do it, you know. Really prominently also placed once again these air vents and nice clicking sounds here, and ambient lighting. That's something that Mercedes can do very, very well. And also everything is like wrapped tightly from the design. Let's take a look here at the infotainment unit. It looks really impressive. However, sometimes it's a little bit complicated to control, especially while driving. Stationary here is okay. Wow, well, it's really hot. So when the sun goes on the screen, and I mean, most infotainment systems are like this in the car. This one is more open. This gives an open space atmosphere, but then like, wow, you almost burn your hands. So hot is this screen then here from the sun. And when you live in Texas or something, this can really be a problem. So like this, Apple CarPlay can be accessed right here. And we have the optional Burmester sound system here. And this is really, you know, bass intensive, good surround sound. So I can recommend that for music lovers like this. So then you can always get to the home screen back like this, but you don't have any more hotkeys just for the driving mode selection. There you have like real key, but then again, look at that. I mean, it's basically one button. Really? Come on. Volume control is here. Sometimes when I see things like this, I just want to go and buy a vintage car. Seriously, you know. Here, this is, by the way, a fingerprint sensor that you can have like your own Mercedes account and then use that. And let's talk to that. Hey Mercedes. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
What do you think about BMW?
Good friends from Bavaria.
Really good friends from Bavaria? I heard that differently. Middle console, you can open this one, and then you have USB connectors, 2 times USB-C, and also inductive charging pad there in the front. Phones. And then you have the cup holders. They are also somewhat adaptive. You know, with the typical split opening here for the back armrest like this, and 2 more USB-C chargers. So you have enough places to charge your phones, definitely. And the head-up display is a nice option and even has some GPS visualizations, for example, when you have set the route. We have a fancy panoramic roof, but we have a not so fancy slider for that. So well, I can press it to, you know, get this split opening, but then I have to slide it. I have to slide it. No, and then it opens. Yeah, and once again, sliding and capacitive things are for smartphone world, but not for cars. And no, a car is not a moving smartphone. Have you ever driven your smartphone? Didn't work for me so well. But here, leaving a lot of sun in, you know, inside, that works very well today. And by the way, we also have a shade here, so I slide it back then, and then I have to slide it once more. And then for really hot states, of course, really important to. Why? Why is it? Yeah, I think that's exactly the problem. And I mean, you can expect from a customer to, I mean, why can't I just slide it again now and then the shade is coming? So am I absolutely stupid, or is it, there we go. What did I do differently now? So maybe I try with the MBUX. Hey Mercedes. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Open the sunroof.
I'm opening the sunroof.
Nice. See, in the rear, there's now more legroom here due to the increased wheelbase. So before it was really close. Now it's not abundance of space, but I still have like some space then in front of my knees. So that's definitely better than before. I mean, it's average comfort here in the rear. It's actually not too bad. You can use it with 4 tall adults. Headroom-wise, though, in the sedan, when you're really tall, one with A6 or 6'1" here, then I do hit the ceiling with my head. We'll soon also check out how it differs then in the estate version. And the middle part here could be used. However, there is a quite substantial middle tunnel, and also the middle part is a little bit harder, and then headroom-wise also a little bit of a problem. Yeah, but the new climate unit here in the rear, that is actually quite fancy. Let me turn on the AC right there, and then we can take a look at it.
You've forgotten your phone.
And now the comparison rear of the estate. How is it different? First of all, here again the bright Artico seats. So this, once again, the man-made leather, as Mercedes calls it, or Artico or MB-Tex in the US. So again, also in the rear, really plush, soft, and also perforated for better climate comfort. Wow, also really impressed with that. And let's get inside. What's different to the sedan? And you've seen when we have panoramic roof installed, which we have today in both vehicles, both sedan and estate. So it's very good to compare. In the sedan, I did hit my head here at the ceiling, but here I can exactly fit in with 1m86 or 6'1". So if you're traveling with tall adults, the estate, the T-Modell, das T-Modell, German lesson for today, then this one is here, das T-Modell, is really the better choice. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the all-new Mercedes C-Class. Let's go to sports mode and accelerate from 50 kilometers to 100. Let's go. Dropped it even a little bit faster. So yeah, quite good acceleration here with the C300, which will be, oh, speed cameras, pay attention to that. C300 will be actually probably the worldwide bestseller, or one of the best sellers. We have it here in the 4MATIC version, so the all-wheel drive, and definitely more than enough power. The thing is, when you go with a smaller petrol engine, then you have also less displacement. Here is the 2-liter 4-cylinder, and the entry-level ones are the 1.5. And I always say, pick the highest displacement with the least amount of horsepower that's available, because that's the best for the engine, you know? So I really hate it when the manufacturers squeeze so much horsepower out of small engines. That cannot be good, like, you know, for long term. And the greatest thing about the new C-Class is, yeah, I mean, in some of the luxury and comfort features, it really comes close to an S-Class. Of course, it will still be a different feeling, yes. But I mean, in the sense of how you feel, you know, the grip, the thick steering wheel, then the soft plush seats, even the ones with the high-grade leatherette Artico MB-Tex, also all the assistance systems and so on, or infotainment system, this really comes, you know, S-Class alike. We do not have air suspension anymore, but the adaptive suspension that we have here, even if we are in the sport mode, really combines comfort and sportiness very well. German Autobahn test here, of course, that's the thing you watch this channel for when we are in Germany. And in the sport mode, really more stable, a little bit more feedback. You can also go back to the comfort mode, and this is actually quite good to choose then here in the lower part. Normal comfort mode then gives me a little bit more dampening, a little bit more relaxing, but still it doesn't shake up at all. So yeah, some might miss the air suspension in the C-Class, but then again, the adaptive suspension here is so good that you can also easily live without it. This vehicle is also equipped with a rear axle steering here at higher speeds. That gives me more stability when I'm doing a lane change. It steers in the back in the same direction on the front wheels. And at lower speeds, opposite direction, then for a little bit more agility actually. And that's of course a great new feature to have here in this very segment. Also very good as for noise insulation at 1 kilometers or 60 miles an hour. Very silent here on a motorway. That's where the C-Class is really very good. And also if you compare the other competitors in this segment, the main ones of course would be the Audi A4 and the BMW 3 Series, which are also really silent, no doubt about that. But here once again in these features here, yeah, very, very good. However, what I do criticize still is something of the user interface, and especially while driving. So imagine, let's see, I want to adjust the mirrors, and then, oh no, capacitive buttons again, and when I control them the first time, then you have, which one I do hit? It's like left, right, and then, wrong click, and suddenly, the mirrors fold in. Damn it, wait a minute, that's the traffic, and okay, fold them out again, and then when you want to control them, again, capacitive buttons for up and down, of course it's all feasible. You can do it, you can live with it. The question is just, is it better than the outgoing model in the control? No, it's not. It's worse to control than the outgoing model, and that's a problem. Also, the fancy infotainment system and so on, yeah, I mean, it looks cool. And the left side here is also fast to control, but then once again, capacitive buttons while driving, you don't have the best feeling for it. And I want to concentrate on the traffic situation when I'm driving a vehicle. When everything is going autonomous and I'm probably jobless or something, and we all better kill ourselves, then everything can be capacitive, whatever. We don't care on our smartphones. But as long as we drive vehicles, I want the real buttons, period. And also here, for the middle infotainment system, I mean, it's a little bit different when you go for the base version. That will be a little bit better. So I urge you not to pick the highest infotainment spec. Mercedes will hate me for saying that, because it costs them money. But here then, in the highest spec, I have no shortcut to return to the GPS, for example. So I have to first, search like, okay, home button, then GPS. Yeah, it's not too complicated once again, but these things add up and make driving just more complicated. Controlling the temperature, also here on the screen then, yeah, there again the base version would be better because you have other temperature dials there, which will be very important. I would love to see that base version, but the test vehicles are usually not equipped with that. So here for temperature control while driving up and down, and then here the vents control. You're still looking, maybe after a while you look a little bit less, but overall you're still somewhat looking, and that's definitely a bad thing. However, then driving again, lane change for example, it's just superb. This car drives so, so great. It really feels extremely elaborated and sophisticated, and you do feel that you are in a mid-size segment when you're a tall person. So when I, for example, compare this here to a riding comfort of the Mercedes E-Class or S-Class, I just have more space actually in these higher segment vehicles. You feel it because you're kind of caged in here a little bit. So I would not necessarily say it's the best. That's by the way the augmented reality function for the GPS, which is a very helpful feature, especially when you're talking to people on the internet while driving a car. You're welcome. Then you can see here camera image, and I also have the arrows inside there, and this is really helpful. Saying like, oh Thomas, this lane you have to keep now. Stop talking, and then follow this direction of the GPS. Let's see now. It should also change. You're seeing here also it says I can keep on this lane so far. Let's see what this means. Change then here. There is the arrow then switches, saying like I have to go even more right. woo, we crossed the arrow. I think it's a very good perspective right here. But then again, not up to the right, but rather keep it a little bit left, so that's helpful. Also in the head-up display, I have a good visualization. That's also helpful, showing me some kind of maps, even in color. That's again also really good feature. Yeah, but you know, this is not a vehicle, at least in the highest spec, where you drive for the first time, you sit down, drive it, and you know, I know everything. Everything is okay. And I think cars should be that way. You know, they should be so easy to control that you step inside and you feel at home. Here, it's tech overload and it's too complicated with all the features you have. We like to have new features, especially as for safety or, you know, for multimedia also, but they need to be easy or maybe even easier than before. But here things just got more complicated. So I really, while driving, have mixed feelings. The hardware of this vehicle and the driving characteristic, the suspension, steering feel, by the way, is also very natural, really cool. So all driving related things, direct driving related things, are just superb, are among top of the segment. If you really say like, yeah, Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, which one is the best now? It really also depends on personal preference. This one in a normal version rather laid out on comfort. The BMW 3 Series from the base version is a little bit sportier. Also the Audi A4 is sportier. So I would say like from comfort to sportiness, it's more like Mercedes, Audi, BMW. So that would be like the personal preference then. The AMG version then later on of this one, of course, will be then sportier than the other sporty versions. So Mercedes always has a huge gap between their non-AMG models and their AMG models. That's really interesting. Yeah, but in general, it's really, you know, the hard facts so great, but the user interface, they put so much work into that. And I really think I have to say that they made the user interface worse than before. So to me, the solution is, yes, you can easily go for the new C-Class as one of the best mid-sized vehicles to drive, definitely, but do not pick the highest trim, do not go for every option that is available, because this is even making things more complicated. So keeping it low spec or mid spec to have more, you know, the classic climate knobs or something, this makes things easier. So save money and make things easier. That's good news, isn't it? Woo. German Autobahn high speed. It's always the best test for the vehicles. So now at 180 kilometers an hour, like 110 miles per hour. And once again, good noise insulation and how calm and stable the car is here. Lane change at high speeds. Doesn't shake up at all. I don't have to correct anything. That feels really good. So once again, this adaptive suspension here is really top notch, and build quality from the, you know, NVH and so on. Also, so noise, vibration, harshness. Yeah, that's once again top notch. So one more thing about the assistance systems, of course, play an even more important role, going back to comfort mode. And this is also with the most sophisticated build in here. And here also lane is being kept also on the motorway. And the distance to the car in front of us, I can also set the speed here at the steering wheel, for example. So I now also can reduce the distance, for example, or set just a limiter. But most of the time you have the adaptive cruise control in place then, and see here also lane is being kept. And after a while it should also start complaining. Let's see, when does it complain? Then I can show the capacitive steering function. Not complaining yet. So when does it say, Evil Thomas, don't do that? Now. So, and then, see here, I just touch the steering wheel that the car knows I'm here. I don't have to like shake it or something. And the fuel consumption before the last acceleration here, we were here for the C300 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engine, turbo of course. Around 7 liters on 1 kilometer, so some 30 mpg US and some 40 mpg UK. And now off the motorway, once again you can see here, augmented reality arrows. They're really helpful, I think. You know? And here we can also test the agility. Nice corner we have. I'm in the sports mode. And once again, good commands from the steering wheel to the road. Really nice in the sport mode, a little bit more feedback then. And so this overall very natural driving feeling this car is offering here, a little bit accelerating out. It's really nice. Also in the all-wheel drive version, there's still a rear wheel bias. Now we have to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, there we go. And accelerating out. So when you have the all-wheel drive, it doesn't feel that you're being pulled from the front too much. Still more power to the rear wheels. However, my choice would definitely be C300 rear wheel drive. I think that is the best setup then here for this vehicle. Plop. Woo!
Today we have the all-new Mercedes C43 AMG for you, that all-new C-Class generation here in selenite grey Magno. This matte paint, really beautiful, of course, extra in price. Thomas and Autogefühl for you with a driving review of that new high-performance 4-cylinder engine. It is specifically built by AMG. That's different now, that one-man, one-engine concept. So that is actually an upgrade if you compare it to the previous generation. But will it be enough with 4 cylinders, and how good is the performance? We'll find out. Here in the front, already designed Panamericana grille. That means it's wider in the lower part. And then these vertical strips, you can either get like this in a chrome style or also in a darker style with a dark package. LED is standard, and optional, you can also get the so-called digital light with a elaborated high beam performance. Definitely a great performance look in the front. What do you think? The length in this generation, 4.79 m or 189 inches. Little bit increased in the length, also in the wheelbase. This will have an effect on the rear legroom. Wheels from 18 to 20 inch for the C43. Here, that biggest one, 20 inch, with this aerodynamic design, and they indeed also have an aerodynamic function. Then here it says turbo electrified. Soon more to that, because the secret of this engine is that it has an electrified turbocharger from the Formula One team by Mercedes. So this is kind of this technology transfer. In the side profile here we have chrome frames around the window. I do prefer that. With the night package you can also get a more sinister look with dark frames, and you can also get a dark lip in the lower part. But to me this way, yeah, that's the one I would spec, with selenite grey Magno in the color, and then also chrome frames around, and here also the mirror caps in vehicle color and not in the blacked out style. This is the sedan, typical sedan style. Here with a dropping line in this generation. You can also get the estate, the so-called T-Modell. T-Modell is, listen and repeat, the German name for the estate at Mercedes. Well, of course it might be a good idea to combine performance and family use, for example. So tell me if you would go for the sedan or for the estate. You can tell me that in the comments. But here, from the pure form, the sedan to me looks a little bit more beautiful. And the rear lamps here, the tail lamps, already begin here at the side, are carried on right here. Beautiful dot design. That looks really modern indeed. With the night packages, by the way, you can also get, for example, the AMG badging and the Mercedes star in a dark design. That maybe is quite fancy. However, I would stick rather with this classic look. There will be 2 night packages, depending on how sinister you really want to have it looking. This spoiler lip, by the way, can also be bought in a carbon fiber style if you prefer that. But to me, this is the more subtle look. To me, this is the perfect C43 setup as it stands here right now from the exterior. Wait a minute. The AFAP is in action for you, the Autogefühl fake exhaust police, because this is one of the purest cases for fake exhaust. You have to admit, these fake exhaust tips, they do look very, very beautiful. They are very well executed, but they are still fake. Technology-wise, the suspension is an adaptive steel suspension. A full air suspension is not available. But since this one here is adaptive still, you can pick it according to the driving modes, and it does change. And also new and standard equipment indeed for the C43, a rear axle steering is 0.7 to maximum 2.5 degrees. The rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, and that actually reduces the turning circle and also gives you more agility at lower speeds. The normal C-Class, if you pick the rear axle steering for the normal C-Class, the threshold where it goes from opposite direction to parallel steering is 60 kilometers or 37 miles per hour. here in a C43, the threshold is 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. So they put that threshold higher up, so you can even get more agility still when you're going like 80, 90 kilometers an hour or like 50 miles an hour. So that will be very interesting while driving. And now under the hood, let's talk about that. So a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, but here one man, one engine concept. Before the C43 got a stock engine, but this one now is specifically built engine by AMG like you used to have in a C63. So is this kind of the more affordable C63 now? Here a strut bar or dome strut here also for more stability. This one does 500 Newton meters of torque, or in horsepower figures then it has 408 horsepower plus 14 horsepower boost from this electrified turbocharger. This is very interesting, and that again is this F1 technology. Acceleration figure is 4.6 seconds or 4.7 seconds for the S8 because it has a little bit more weight. So performance-wise, it is indeed an upgrade, and the engine itself is also lighter than the 6-cylinder engine before. However, the overall car is not lighter because added crash safety, infotainment system, and so on and so on. A little bit increased length and so on. So we'll see how that one plays out. So from facts and figures, everything speaks for the 4-cylinder. But does the feeling also speak for the 4-cylinder? This we will find out in the driving part. Well, and what is this electrified turbo for? That you have continuous charging pressure even at low RPM. Mercedes promises no turbo lag whatsoever then. Is that true? We'll find out. This is the car key. AMG badging then. Door closing sound. Oh, very nice. Then interior here. Slick materials. This then also Artico leatherette. And then we have this spaceship styling, I would say, but a lot of high gloss black materials. And what I do criticize is that you have this one button design with hashtag capacitive BS buttons. So this one button for all these functions it does have. Cool here, an optional Burmester sound system that gives you a great 3D sound indeed. Then a steering wheel with AMG styling, have the 2-spoke horizontal design in here. However, once again, hashtag capacitive BS buttons. They look nice and clean. One button then for all these functions, and to control it while driving is a little bit more complicated, definitely. The screen setup here, this is the big one that is also standard in the US. Left side 12.3 inch, right side 11.9 inch. In European markets, you would start with the smaller setup. So then you have to go for these here optional. The smaller setup is 10.25 left and 9.5 on the right side. As for the seats, you would start with normal sports seats, as you know from the normal C-Class. These here are the optional performance seats with these fake openings for racetrack seat belts that would go right here, but that's just a visual element here. Of course, more support, shoulder area, and also here at the side. So this, once again, an option. Would I take them? Not sure. Let me test right now. But first of all, from the seat materials, this is the optional animal skin pack. But I checked with Mercedes, both EU and US market do get the so-called microcut on the inside. Used to name it Dynamica, so microfiber on the inside and outside Artico leatherette. That's a great setup for comfort and raciness, and also friendlier for the animals. So that's supposed to be standard. We have to see the configurations later on, if that's also available in your market, but it should be available on most markets indeed. And from the comfort, you already feel, oh yeah, that is quite stiff. Not what you think. I'm talking about the seat. And yeah, I would definitely go for the normal sport seat indeed. The C43 to me is this combination of comfort and sportiness. Just pure sportiness would be the C63. And here then, I think the normal sport seat are serving a better purpose. These here would be better for the racetrack to keep you tighter. But they're really tight for, I want to use this car every day, Then 1.89 meters or 6'2", and that gives me still a lot of headroom. There is also a panoramic roof available if you like. And steering wheel, electric up and down, in and out. And the rest of the seat controls are here on the inside once again. However, the thing is, they do not move anymore. They don't give you feedback. And now the interesting thing is I talked to some Mercedes managers recently and I asked them, why are you doing this? Everyone likes it when you get feedback, when that thing is moving. And, you know, I asked them, is it like about cost savings, you know? Is it cheaper to produce it that way? And they said, no, it's actually more expensive to produce it in a capacitive way, and also with the capacitive buttons and, you know, screens instead of analog instruments. So things that we might say like, this for cost savings. No, they told me actually it's more expensive. But then I asked myself, who wants high gloss black, capacitive buttons, and these fields you cannot move? I don't want them. You also don't want them, I guess, because all the comments I've been reading is, no, we don't want that. And then they do that, although they're more expensive to produce. I don't get it. Do you? Interior overview, super clean layout indeed. And I do like these air vents here on the top. And they also have clicking sound. So, and also illumination. So that's really beautifully done. Here you can also get this carbon fiber design. That looks really fancy and racy. The only catch is when you have carbon fiber here, you can only go for the high gloss black in this part. And everyone wants to get rid of that. At least the customers I know and reading your comments. So this area can also be bought in a non-high gloss way, like in like a silver or in a checkered structure, but then only without the carbon fiber, and that's what I would actually go for. You can see here this vertical set of the screen, zoom more detail to that. One more thing in advance, climate unit will always be here. At least it stays in the same position and is, for a touch solution, relatively easy to handle. The driving modes will be accessed here with that AMG, but here, once again here, see? It's the like one button design again. Come on, Mercedes. But this looks very cool. The visualizations of the screen, they look really fancy. So either you can put it right here, these driving modes here, and it does not have an eco mode, but just an ice or slippery mode actually. And then in Sport and Sport Plus, you can use the new launch control, which will be possible due to the 9-speed automatic with wet clutch. Interesting. And here on the right side, then we can control the driving modes as well on the steering wheel. This, of course, is easier to do than to do it in the middle screen there. And the size of the steering wheel is really, really cool. That's extremely good. You can also start up the engine if you like here. And so the size to control, to handle it, I really love that. Shifting pedals, also nice. And you already hear it from the outside that the exhaust, it's really nice already when it's on the inside, especially when the windows are down. So this is a very nice sporty cockpit. And here, put in the gears, D, P, press here, reverse is up like this. And in reverse mode, then you can see also here the rear view camera. And someone will walk past right now. Yeah. Okay, thank you, good sample. And this also this so-called fake drone view from above, let me call it that way. And let's continue here with the infotainment system, because here you can see this is then the map. It's actually quite responsive, so that's actually okay. The screen does get very hot in summertime though. One more thing I can show you right here, because this is in the home screen. Here, this menu, you do have the track pace AMG here. Then you can get some race telemetry, for example, drag race recording. Okay. In a normal street legal car, interesting. Well, but the normal menu like this is accessed right here. MBUX, of course, also with the voice input, and you can get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and then it looks like this. For example, here for the YouTube Music, you can get this home screen, or this is the normal Apple CarPlay integration. That looks, really very wide. And yeah, maybe we use YouTube Music today. You can get it with YouTube Premium, by the way. Then you can also watch our videos without advertisement. And well, the sound of the Burmester sound system is actually like really rich and quite bass intensive as well. Head-up display also gets this performance gauge that you can have the RPM right in line of sight. This is an option, by the way, the head-up display. Digital instruments also have AMG specific graphics. However, you can also change that here. Super Sport, but you can also go for a normal sport gauge like this. So whatever suits you best, classic and so on. Or also if you want to rather focus on the GBS, like this. Now the rear seating area. Let's take a look here first. Great quality. So the build quality indeed is really good. That looks nice. Good finish. Here also, when we compare to our studio episode, here we see that this car is more finished and also everything, you know, from the control stitches very well aligned. And then let's take a seat here. Well, this might be different than also performance seat and the normal sport seat. Remember that this C-Class generation has the longer wheelbase, so it's supposed to give you more legroom. And I feel that these sport seats, sometimes they are slim and actually, you know, change also legroom. But here also they are in a way stiff, but then also quite long, and I don't have too much legroom in the combination with these performance seats, so I guess that the normal sports seats will do better here in that case. Headroom is for me as a tall person okay. It will be a little bit better than in the estate version. You can also check out our studio episode where we did compare the estate version with that. Seating comfort in general, as for the seating for the rear bench, is, I would say, okay. Nothing special indeed. And since this one here is permanent all-wheel drive, the distribution is, by the way, 30% front, 70% in the rear. There's this huge middle tunnel here as well. You can see it right there. Once again, with one button fits it all, rear climate unit. So to sit in the middle part here is possible, but not too comfortable. But 4 tall adults you can easily house here in this vehicle. 455 liters for the sedan trunk, 490 for the estate, by the way. The length here you can see is a meter, and also the width you can see is a good meter or 40 inches indeed. And the cool thing here is, well, let's put you with the height here first, here about 50 centimeters or 20 inches. Here we have these folding mechanisms. It's really rare for a sedan, and they indeed directly fold flat. That's really good. So extremely well done. Just that hard plastic part here is not Mercedes-alike, I feel. And the total length here is about 1 meters 80 or 70 inches.
Launch control, 0 to 80 kilometers an hour. Plop. Woo! That was a little bit more than 80, but no one saw that. Gladly the speed is blocked for that camera. Well, but when I said plop, it was 0 to 80 for that race start, how Mercedes calls it. Easily done now. Sport or Sport Plus mode. Hammer the brake with the left foot and hammer the throttle with your right foot, and that's it. There were times when AMG race start was done like holding the pedals first both same time, then the right and left, and then ESC off, blah blah blah. Now it's really easily done, but of course nothing for public roads. Right? Okay.
Yes, Thomas.
Thank you, Michelle. And oh, there's the speed camera. They put that up on purpose now. Is that maybe because this is one of the Mercedes testing routes here in France? Hello. Yeah. I never drive too fast, by the way. Yeah. And now we have some great winding roads here in the Vosges region in France. Really beautiful. And we can test all of the different features of that vehicle. By the way, already at that race start, rear wheel bias of that all-wheel drive. Standard setup is 30% in the front, 70% in the rear, and we feel that rear wheel bias, and also here that rear axle steering. You feel that the rear is helping you a little bit coming around. Not that extreme as we know from the competition, because here maximum is 2.5 degrees, but helps you while easing out in the parking lot, basement garage, and here also when I'm going right-left, for example, you feel that the car is more agile, and because they put that threshold up here, I'm driving 70 kilometers an hour now. In the normal C-Class, I would not feel that agility difference than from the rear axle steering anymore, because threshold is at 60 kilometers an hour, or like 37 miles per hour. Here, threshold, where it changes from opposite steering of the rear wheels to parallel, is 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. And here I do still feel that at this speed, and that's really cool. Steering setup, very good. Wow. I mean, we know from Mercedes that they tend to have steering setups where you steer more than, for example, with Audi or BMW. Now here, the steering setup is awesome. Very natural, but here also I don't have to steer too much. That's beautiful. It feels amazing indeed. So the steering size, the steering ratio, at the same time natural feeling, then the rear axle steering. This vehicle gives you such a great flow in handling. So I'm really amazed by that. It feels extremely balanced also weight-wise. Here when I'm going some left-right here now, there you do extremely feel that rear axle steering makes it more agile. Michelle also like, this guy is like...
a bit bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers, yeah. Sometimes I am, but you know, yeah, that's what car enthusiasts do at some point. But yeah, Michelle?
It's all good.
It's all good, okay. So, I mean, it feels like a smaller vehicle indeed. This mid-size sedan segment here, or mid-size estate then for the estate. The estate will not drive any differently, you know, if you compare to the sedan. Wow. But that balance handling here, I really have such a great flow, and indeed the 4-cylinder feels quite light on the front axle. And sound-wise, we also have a nice feedback here on the interior. The Sport Plus mode also lets me do everything a little bit more loose. Of course, dry road, so it won't have the greatest effect. But however, in the Sport Plus mode here, the gears are being kept low. So I'm in lower gear always, and also the shifting up is later. I can always use the shifting pedals, which give a nice feedback as well. And then I can be a gear lower also, just intentionally. It's a really nice feedback sound-wise. So indeed, from driving sound-wise and performance-wise, you do not feel as you would be missing these 6-cylinders. If you know this channel, you know that I am a fan of 6-cylinders. I also fancy electric vehicles, but I usually say like, come on, when you buy a petrol engine and go for more cylinders, but less horsepower, that you can keep it at low RPMs and you also have good durability. So I'm really not a fan of tuned engines in a way, putting low displacement, low cylinder count, and then putting so much horsepower in it. That can't be good, at some point from an engineering perspective. But from the driving experience we get, actually, I am surprised indeed. I was very skeptical and I don't like the concept of downsizing. But here, the performance we have, it really feels amazing. Shifting up ourselves now in the Sport Plus mode also. Here with shifting yourself, you can be more extreme. You feel the difference? So when I'm in the automatic mode, I keep the RPMs a little bit lower. I can have an extreme flow with this vehicle indeed. It shifts up a little bit earlier than as well, even in the Sport Plus mode. And I can really flow through the corners, keep it very smooth. That's really cool, And then, like here, for example, in this corner, rather silent and so on. But when I do the shifting myself, then I can really put it in a more aggressive way. Here shift up, here shift down, and so on and so on. By the way, here you've maybe seen it here in the infotainment now. There is this augmented reality function. It's an option that you can see arrows when you have to turn, when you have a GPS route set. This is a very helpful feature and exactly shows you what you need to do and where you need to go. That is a cool thing, definitely. And here in town, for example, go back to the comfort mode. Then it's also more silent. Once again, great handling. Wow. So I really have to say, handling-wise and how smooth and balanced the car feels, this is really a big step forward from the previous generation. I'm still not convinced in the engineering sense that it makes sense to get rid of these 2 cylinders. I do prefer the 6 cylinders like you have from the, like the M340i or, what is that? On these, our French views, like, that are these, hey, I'm a beginner driver, right? Yeah, that may be the thing. Yeah. Sorry, that was discriminating against beginner drivers. Sorry about that. So now we can overtake very soon, I hope. We go back to the Sport Plus mode. So that speed limit should be lifted now because it was going off. And yeah, you know, when you think about safe overtaking maneuvers, you gotta have some more power, right? So it's safer to overtake when you have some more power, right? That might be in a discussion at home which vehicle to get. Say like, hey, I do need a performance vehicle. For example, right now the speed limit is lifted and I think I can... It's a corner. Shall we go for it? Now. Here we go. Yeah, really good performance. That is a moment where I feel like that would have uphill, you know, and that would have been different with a 6-cylinder, wouldn't it? So, yeah, cylinder count wise, I'm not that convinced that it's good. Turbo lag wise, I have to say, we have to differentiate, you know. When we are here in this more, you know, winding corner, racy situation and so on, and for example, we shift down ourselves, then we do feel that it's actually quite cool. Wow, that is what I mean, you know. There's no, Michelle like, sorry about that. So here, there's indeed instant torque. So that is quite cool. And this Formula One technology, thanks Lewis, this is indeed helping. Wow, great racy feeling. There's however something different when we're driving in the city in the comfort mode. I felt that earlier. And I don't think that's turbocharger related. It must be more like automatic transmission related. So sometimes when you are in the comfort mode and you drive slowly, you get again on the brakes and then you start again, you have, now not, but you have sometimes situations where in the moment you hit the throttle, there's a downshifting taking place and you feel like, ooh, the car is, you know, lagging behind. So that's no turbo lag, that's maybe transmission lag. So we did feel that earlier in city driving at some point where we thought like, wait a minute, is that really correct? So not 100% convinced of the transmission. Transmitted, yeah, whatever. So that is something I did feel in city driving. However, now in agile driving, it does do a very good job. So yeah, I mean, so many things to talk about with this vehicle, from the pure handling experience and also performance on paper. This can easily also be a C63, and we know that the C63 also will stick with the 4-cylinder. They will probably just tune it a little bit more, make it a little bit stiffer from suspension. So it now seems that in this generation, the C63 is kind of useless. You can easily go for the C43, and also pricing wise, this is more expensive than the competition. You know, you can get a nicely spec'd Audi S5 for like 90k, and this one here is some 100k, you know, with all the extras and so on. So they will be more expensive than the competition. And when you then think about you spend more money but get less cylinders, sorry Mercedes engineers, that's not making sense to me. But still, I have to admit, you did a great job, Mercedes engineers, as for the whole handling experience. So it can be very smooth, it can be very aggressive. This car can indeed do both. The driving experience is really amazing. I love it. I really love it. But I can't get over the cylinder effect. Is it just me, or what do you think about it? Consumption-wise, by the way, as we can expect, leaving the agile driving aside, when you also do some cruise control and so on, this engine will not be fuel saving. It will be emission-wise and fuel economy-wise on paper. That's why they do it, to get lower in the EU emissions rating. But in reality, you can easily calculate with some 10, 11 liters on mile kilometers, so like 20 something mpg US, 25 mpg UK. So did I do that now? Interesting. Or were there some drops in? I don't know. Sometimes strange things happen in these new modern vehicles. Everything is automated. Not everything, but most of the stuff definitely. So indeed, downsizing doesn't make sense for fuel economy. It does only do so on paper. Yeah, it's really the thing about this vehicle, you know. You have great design in here. We have seen that User interface wise, can also be, okay, that happened. It can also be easier at times, and we don't like the hashtag capacitive BS buttons, but the handling experience is purely amazing. So you will have a lot of fun with this vehicle. The performance seats here, it is more or less okay, but nothing especially comfortable. They do hold you tight in corners, that's good. I would still stay with my verdict and pick the normal sport seats to give you a little bit more comfort. And also, when you pick the standard setup, at least in most markets, and stick with the microfiber, the micro cut called now, on the inside of the seats, this will also give you more comfort and also more breathability in hot summer climate, that the seats stay a little bit cooler, and of course not that cold in wintertime as it is here with the animal skin. So from a pure driving fun, I can do this really all day. We have a great route here for you. I hope you really enjoyed it the same way that we do. Yeah, really awesome, and also with that rear wheel bias. Yeah, that's really, really great. But the thing really remains that when you are in this very segment, people want a 6-cylinder, period. That's at least my take on that. But I can't deny the fact that it is so much fun to drive this vehicle.
The top sporty CLS 53 AMG. Let's go with the changes here. New front grille. Before it had a horizontal fin like this, now vertical fins and a more open front grille, A-form, so wider in the lower part, definitely more massive. Headlamp update also here with the multi-beam LED as well, and the new front spoiler, definitely also really striking in this grey color we have here today.
What you see here is exactly the reason why people would go for the CLS and not for an E-Class sedan or something. The same as Audi A6 versus Audi A7, for example. Or if you compare Porsche Panamera, they all have this falling roof lines here, making it a sensual shape. Around 5 meters or 197 inches, so really full size, and 19 or 20-inch wheels. These are the optional 20-inch wheels. Wow, look at that. New aerodynamic stylings are available. Looks quite fancy. Red brake calipers as a contrast. Turbo 4MATIC Plus, what does it mean? Yeah, it's turbocharged, and 4MATIC Plus is the variable all-wheel drive system, but still it has a rear wheel bias. Then you can get a night package for black mirror caps, and here black around the windows, but here in this case carbon fiber mirror caps, of course a cost-worthy option. In the rear you can also get a carbon fiber spoiler lip, and the spoiler in general for the CLS 53. Yeah, and here the lower part, that looks cool, but when you look closer, Autogefühl fake exhaust, police alert. Yeah, I mean, the air does run through. However, if you look on the inside, the outer tips do have nothing in common with the rear tip actually. And then strong diffuser style here in the lower end. The CLS 53 is a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder with 435 horsepower. Acceleration figure is 4.3 seconds in miles per hour or 4.5 seconds in kilometers per hour. Now with mild hybrid technology, so have a little bit of recuperation possible. And the 450 model has the same base engine, but then with 367 horsepower. And there's also a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 300 horsepower in the 350, that one then rear-wheel drive only. This one here and the 450 model, all-wheel drive. In Europe we also get diesels for the CLS, 2-liter or 3-liter diesel, but do you really want a CLS with a diesel? I'm not so sure about it. What do you think?
And this one here would be a CLS 450 AMG line, so the engine then a little bit less in the horsepower spec, and the AMG line front grille also gets now this A shape and then this tiny star pattern inside, so it also looks quite sporty already. Here you can see the direct difference here, right AMG line 450, and on the left then our CLS 53 model with a more aggressive styling there in the front grille. And here the 450 from the side profile, also without a night package or without carbon fiber accentuations, then it doesn't look that, that evil, I would say. Here also different wheel styling, also 20-inch wheels with this new AMG aerodynamic styling right there, also a little bit brighter, and then chrome frames around the windows right here. If you want about that sticker, by the way, here it's a disinfection sticker, so I'm free to use this vehicle once again. And in the rear here, the rear spoiler lip, where we had carbon fiber with the AMG model, here then in vehicle color, and the rear look right there. Oh, yeah, also fake exhaust tips. A little bit more subtle, but still, yeah, about that.
Khaki, this is still the classic one. Well, I really like it. Slim and not too heavy. Then the door closing sound. Yeah, not too premium actually. But however, it's also frameless, you know. Then carbon fiber use here for the interior, and unlike in the all-new Mercedes model, here the controls for the seats, they still are movable and give you a real feedback, and that's way better. In the all-new Mercedes model, like new S-Class and so on, new C-Class, they're just stationary and, you know, react just by touch or something. But we want to feel something, right, when we use these cars. The sport seats here are standard and they're not too uncomfortable actually, and as standard in the 53 model from the CLS would come with Dynamica microfiber on the inside all the way and Article leather red on the outside, so even animal free. This one is the optional animal skin package. With the Dynamica microfiber it's even more comfortable and breathable in summer especially. The rest of the CLS models in Europe you can also get a fabric Article mix seat or a full Article seat, whereas in the US the 53 is the only version you can go animal free, so you know, you should go for the 53 in the US. Yeah, that's always a good reason, you know. And here microfiber steering wheel for a better grip at the side, that's cool. And new steering wheel at all in the AMG styling with the two horizontal fins right there, and also then buttons here to control, for example, the driving modes at the steering wheel. The new steering wheel looks fancy. It's also better for the handling because it's actually very thick in the grip handle here. But then these capacitive functions here at the steering wheel to control the cruise control while driving, that is actually harder to do while driving than the version before. Quite fancy. At the steering wheel you can directly change the driving modes. Ooh, then it gets racy. Thanks to the automotive god we still have manual climate unit here. Yeah, I love to be able to control that while driving actually. Middle console and lower part, carbon fiber cover, and then here space for charging your phone or also inductive charging pad, adaptive cup holders. Then you have this touchpad here. You can also use it as a menu slider or as a home button, but to be able to control it while driving, there I think, you know, a classic turning knob would have been better. There you can also change the driving modes, but at the steering wheel it's actually easier. And then you have the classic split opening here for the armrest with more charging possibilities. And again, the highlight, the round air vents, they give so much styling than this swinging design, and really like it here in the 53 model. Less black piano lacquer, more carbon fiber. Yes. Seating position is actually quite comfortable in E-Class alike, and it's always very important with the AMG model not to go for the super sport bucket seat if there's one available, but stick with the base sport seats because they offer more comfort. Then electric control of the steering wheel, once you get good grip handle here. And when I put the seat in the lowest position here actually, then with one with 86 or 6.1 there's enough headroom left. This here, however, the one without panoramic roof, there's one available. In the rear, well, that's not the strength here of the CLS, so it does work with 4 tall adults because you have this recess here for the knees. Headroom wise, I mean, it's okay when you relax like this, but when I lean backwards, yeah, very close, and I kind of hit my head in the ceiling slightly. It's still okay, but not the best, of course, considering the length. Yeah, not better definitely in the AMG GT 4-door, so have to live with that. But I mean, in the E-Class sedan, it's also not that good either. So, but overall, I think it is bearable, but don't expect too much. And that, yeah, you can sit here also comfort-wise. Climate unit here also for the rear, and in the middle part you have some more cup holders which are also adaptive. Trunk access with flipping the logo right here, and then you have in length about 1 meters 15 or 45 inches, and the height limitation is here at about 20 inches or 50 centimeters. You see here the backpack easily fits in. To fold the seats, right here you have to release, but then either push it with your luggage or go around and fold the seats like this. Welcome to Thomas's active driving lounge with the CLS 53 AMG, and I would say, let's go. Stop, that's 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 60 miles an hour, and impressive, I would say, and very, very smooth. So, whew, that's cool. Oh, there's the Maybach, new S-Class Maybach. Also find that review here in Autogefühl. And awesome. This 6-cylinder sound is just really great. Wow. Really a lot of joy. You don't need anything else. The update here is that you now have mild hybrid technology, which is giving you some fuel savings, but it won't make the biggest difference though. And of course, it always depends on how you're driving. Of course, if you're driving like this, of course, that doesn't make so much sense. Shifting yourself is a lot of fun here using the shifting pedals, and listen to that. Yeah, that's really a lot of Autogefühl and great winding roads here. Steering has a good natural feeling. It's not too progressive, it's also not too hard. In the sport mode, you have a little bit more feedback. And the Alcantara or Dynamica, depending on who is manufacturing, so the microfiber steering wheel is really very nice, has a great grip actually. I love that, and even here at higher speeds, slalom-like features are really great. The suspension here in the Sport or Sport Plus mode is a little bit stiffer than adaptive suspension, so it also sticks a little bit better to the road. Here on the brakes, good performance, very fine-tuned feeling for that. And I mean, it's not a short vehicle, but indeed here in this AMG version, it feels kind of shorter because it's so agile. If you compare it, for example, to an E-Class, like 43 or 63 versions, they do come indeed very close. Yes, so they are also built on the very same chassis. The CLS has always been, this design-focused car, like with Audi with an A6 versus the A7, for example. Yeah, and I don't miss an 8-cylinder at all. So, wow. You might ask yourself, the AMG GT 4-door, what is this against the CLS? They are more or less same in length. The CLS here actually still gives you more comfort. The AMG GT 4-door is definitely, just rougher, also suspension-wise and so on. Do I even need to comment that? I think not, but yeah, just pure joy and wow, really, really cool. So once again, the AMG GT 4-door is just stiffer and basically begins somewhat where this one ends. So if you seek more the compromise between sportiness and comfort, the CLS is definitely for you. And I feel that here in this facelift, that the suspension is also a little bit more forgiving, that even in the sports mode, it's delivering better comfort. So if you ask me between CLS and AMG GT 4-door, I would definitely go for the CLS. It's to me just the better compromise and the more usable car in everyday driving life when you count everything together. Of course there are more usable cars, but still, the fun factor is here the crucial factor with this great engine. MUX infotainment system update we've shown to you earlier. This can of course be helpful also while driving, because you can use the voice input, for example, and then put in new GPS commands or something, so that's definitely cool. The new steering wheel is somewhat smaller, thicker, with a better grip. Then of course also your microfiber surface is available worldwide as well. So steering input wise, I really prefer this new steering wheel. However, when I control the adaptive cruise control, then again with these capacitive buttons at the steering wheel, which are not my favorite at all. So it is more or less okay, 4 capacitive buttons, you still manage to control them. But before that, the old steering wheel was just better to use it, for the whole cruise control thing and controlling the instruments and so on and so on. It's not too bad. Here in the CLS, at least, we still have the manual climate unit. I can still control the temperature while driving. That's really good, because in the all-new Mercedes models, that is even missing all rear touchscreen. So here, the CLS world in this generation, to me, that still gives a good compromise, between new fancy stuff and still things that are the way we used to know, and we actually also want to keep them. I mean, don't we? Or don't you? 20-inch wheels, by the way, here, so the bigger wheels, and again, the comfort is really good, and I'm driving in the Sport Plus mode all the time. Of course, this is then intended to be used when it's also dry. but still having a lot of fun with this one here. And the driving modes, in this case, I can also control at the steering wheel. That's actually a good thing because I don't need to reach down there. And when we are, for example, then here in the comfort mode, then the suspension is even more forgiving, and also the car is more silent. So this additional exhaust note then is appearing in the sports mode only. So this is a great GT, so a sports tourer, I would say. Oh, tunnel, sport mode, sports plus. I missed the tunnel just for a little bit, but still, this is here pure Autogefühl car feeling. So, oh, this is crucial situation here. Against the sun, and then bicyclist up the hill in the corner. Always safety first here. Here we go. Yeah, and there we go. Wow. I think I should... Whoa, now I can't see anything. But I think I should just continue this. I mean, enjoy this together here with me. This episode is really just about automotive enjoyment, the old school way actually. Woo! Wow, I could really do this all day. I think if you're a car enthusiast, then you're surely with me on that one. Then augmented reality function here in the GPS system. So there's also a new feature then here for the CLS introduced. And this is really helpful because it just makes you show then, okay, this is where I exactly need to turn in right or left now. So pretty helpful. Wait a minute, I think I know this corner. So I've been here and around in the area, of course, quite some times. Down to the south of Stuttgart near Immendingen, beautiful roads here. Oh, and there's a Volkswagen T2, I think, behind us, which is totally crazy. I mean, it's 50 here. Okay, goodbye now, but what the I mean, there was speed limit, and of course I obey the speed limits. I have to obey them because otherwise I lose my driver's license and I lose my job. And this guy was just like running this close behind me. What the hell? It's so dangerous. I don't know what some people are thinking when they're driving. I mean, this is. I mean, even if you drive sporty or have a powerful car, this is not war here. I mean, after all, it's about safety first, and of course, when you have a good sporty car, you can also have fun. But always safety first. Always look out for others. Don't take any unnecessary risk, and yeah. Sometimes people are just crazy and need to calm down a little bit. But this one here, yeah, this car, it can make you calm down when you are in the comfort mode or something, but then it can also push the next adrenaline rush right into you when you put it to the sports mode. And yeah, what a joyride. Has been fun before on this facelift, and I think with the new control input here, even a little bit more spiced up. Fuel economy, of course, this one is not good at all with this one here, and the mild hybrid system maybe is bettering that a little bit, but no major changes about that. Welcome to a full tour of the Mercedes CLA, today as coupe. The exterior, interior and the driving experience today with the turbo petrol engine of the CLA 220. And of course everything, as you know, in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! In the front you can already see this very sensual design of this Mercedes CLA, and that's also the main selling point, the design. However, the predecessor generation to me looked a little bit more fluent and sensual in design. This one here a little bit more mainstream, but I think still good looking. The AMG line we have here today, so this is my favorite Mercedes front grille, and this white color will especially play a role when we take a look at the interior color very soon. The length is at 4.69 meters, 15'4" or 184 inches. That's 5 centimeters longer than the predecessor and 15 centimeters longer than the Mercedes A-Class sedan, because nowadays they have the A-Class sedan, which is on the same platform than this one, the Mercedes CLA, and then there's the Mercedes C-Class, and that is at the same length than this one even 2 millimeters longer. Why? So that doesn't make too much sense to me. Well, it is how it is. And the design, well, that's not a Porsche, it's a Jaguar F-Type. Think of V6.
But that one already has a good sound. So the roofline right there, pretty central. Here again with this typical CLA ending, coupe style, 4-door of course. Also frameless doors, that's also special with this car. So yes, still a very central choice. The biggest wheels are those 19-inch, optional, also AMG style. I think, will they still work? Well, we have the adaptive suspension here. There's base suspension, 15mm lower sports, fixed suspension, and then adaptive suspension. We have the adaptive one today, which is also the best, definitely. We'll tell you more about the comfort if it still works with the biggest wheels. And of course, then, you know, panoramic roof available also in need today, and strong shoulders in this part, but everything with a round design. That's also what they're doing at the moment at Mercedes. 16-inch would be the base wheel size, by the way, if you're interested. And well, this 3/4 rear perspective is something very special with this car. It's also where the designers pay special attention to, and it indeed looks like a raindrop from the rear. It's, you know, seamlessly integrated, the whole design, also as the tail lamps are laid out. So I think that's also what making this CLA special, and then you can maybe understand that there's still some differentiation to an A-Class sedan and also to a Mercedes C-Class. CLA 220, that's the engine for today. Which one it is exactly, I'll tell you more on the engine part very soon. And 4MATIC, this one is also available with the all-wheel drive. That's always front plus rear on demand. One design flaw there is, we all agree on that. Fake exhaust tips here, and they are pure fake. This is just pure cosmetic, and there's nothing on the inside. The exhaust underneath. They do that nowadays, you know, for packaging reasons, for that they can put the particle filter somewhere, that they can also maintain a same design on the rear, no matter of the engine. But come on, then just leave out the fake exhaust tip, make it with a nice chrome line here, and that's it, and it will be as beautiful, designers. Or what's your take on that? Yeah, and since this one here is a design object, it also gets one more perspective here, straight 90 degrees from the rear. So, do you like the design overall? Let's discuss it in the comments. Now to engines. The CLA, by the way, also built in Hungary. Then 180D, 1.5 liter, 116 horsepower, 200D, 2 liter, 150 horsepower, 220D, 2 liter, 190 horsepower, all front-wheel drive. And then the petrol side, CLA 180, 1.4 liter with 136, CLA 200, 1.4 liter, 163. The small ones are the Renault engines, and the 2-liter ones, diesel and petrol, are Mercedes. Like this one, the CLA 220, 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 190 horsepower, optional with all-wheel drive, like we have here today. Acceleration figure here is about 7 seconds. Then there's the CLA 250, 2-liter 4-cylinder, 225 horsepower, had that last time, 6.3 seconds. And then of course the very strong ones, the AMGs, the 35 AMG, that one then with 306 horsepower, and the 45 MPG, the 45 AMG with 387 horsepower or 421 horsepower in the 45S. Whew, that's a little much for this displacement, but I think the one we have here today is actually quite decent as for this perspective. Oh, that's hot. Can't touch this. Soft touch leatherette at the inside of the doors up, and also in the lower part in this special trim with the white contrast, and this feels so soft. I had this one short story with the Mercedes officials saying like, is this really leatherette? Oh, now the MBUX reacts on Mercedes. So he was touching it and they're like, nah, that's the real animal skin. I say like, no, are you really sure about this? And then he checked it up and said like, oh, you're actually right. This one is our high-class leatherette. Amazing how far we've gone. So they couldn't believe it themselves. Then here, this is a matte wood trim, also very beautiful. This combination is really cool. Memory seating here for the electric seats. And here, this one even has seat cooling and seat heating. The MBUX goes all over the place while I'm talking about Mercedes. And well, the seat cooling does belong to those seats here. And you have base seats, you have sport seats, as we can see it right now with the integrated head restraint. And you have so many different seating choices, and most of them are actually sustainable and animal friendly. That's really cool. We have, for example, a fabric brace seat, so the cloth basic. Then there is a mix of fabric on the inside, and this leatherette, Artico or MBTEX are the brand names, depending on the country, on the outside. Then there's also Dynamica microfiber and an AMG line on the inside. and this one here at the outside. And then there's also like this full Artico or full Ambitex available for the whole seat if you want this slick animal skin look, but yet again want to combine luxurious interior with being more animal friendly. And this is also the case here. So this one is not animal sourced, although it 100% looks like it, and it feels so high class, so soft, even with the optional perforation. So you can get this seat here without the perforation as a base, and if you go for the option, it's about even more than 1,000 euros extra. This perforation is an option for the seat cooling, and this is one of the very, very rare occasions where we find a leatherette seat with a seat cooling. Mercedes and Tesla, they both offer that. I think no one else at the moment. If you know someone else, then please tell me in the comments. And that's what I'm talking about. When people want to combine luxury and sustainability, that's a good example for that. Then steering wheel is also available in different forms. If you want that animal free, the base one is actually for the CLA. Then this one at the moment is animal skin, but you can also get the other one if you like, and you can also get one with microfiber, better dry grip on the side, or one also with total microfiber, but I'm not sure if you can only get it for the AMG, but also for others. Gotta talk to your dealer for that, because this one is already the sporty form, but not the sportiest. Always when I talk about Mercedes, the MBUX voice recognition gets activated. I'll soon show you more about that. But definitely, I mean, this first look, so impressive what they've done here in a compact platform car with the interior. Getting inside is fairly easy, and you have a quite sporty seating position indeed. So yeah, and this also feels more like compact size vehicle, also in the space in the front. So in the mid-size segment, although this one's the same length than the C-Class, I think you have a little bit more space and a little more seating area. However, you have about 5 centimeter more shoulder room than in the predecessor CLA, because remember, the whole car, the whole track is also 5 centimeters wider, and that also transfers to the interior, so better than in the previous generation. Seat here has the electric adjustment on the inside of the doors, I can do that well at the moment, and the steering wheel, yeah, with the manual adjustment, but very smooth process, and also, you know, very well adjustable, so that's pretty cool. With 1.86 m or 6'1", that leaves me hardly any headroom right there, so I can put the hand over my head, barely. Now look at that, that really has still a wow factor. Here also the other A-Class cars. You would start with 7-inch screens on both sides, optional then the bigger one, 10.25 on the right side, and optional 2 times 10.25 inch, and then you have this going through design, so that looks pretty fancy. And this is, by the way, the automatic shifting lever, so put it down for the drive mode, up for the reverse, and right press for parking mode. But couldn't they include a frameless mirror here in this so elegant and high-class vehicle? We even had it in the Mazda 3, where most of the stuff were, were standard, and it was half the money of this car. So yeah, put a more elegant back mirror in here. Soft touch leatherette also at the rear doors, both in the black and the white scheme. So this is high-class build quality. The build quality of this car is really amazing, but of course the price is also high. Yeah, it's not the best package overall, but it's a huge improvement if you compare it to the predecessor. Yes, the car is also longer, so that's no wonder. So you can see I do fit here, who has, another tall adult. Headroom-wise, it starts to get here very close with the ceiling, so I am a little bit cramped in here, definitely. The shooting brake will have a little bit more headroom, yes. And is also a little bit better if you think about the Mercedes C-Class sedan, for example. So you open the trunk by flipping the logo, that's quite cool. And then here we are. And the liter figures here, by the way, 370 for the A-Class hatch, 420 for the A-Class sedan, 460 here for the CLA. You have more length in trunk here, of course, than with the A-Class sedan, for example. And you can see here, this cabin trolley here can be slid forward and backward, and even it fits in a vertical way, because the height right there is about 50 centimeters, and the width in the front is more than a meter. And if we go more to the rear, you can see, here in the very front it's wider, but it's even a little bit wider than a meter if we go a little bit deeper in. So that's actually quite good. And the normal trunk length is about 1.10 meters.
Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Mercedes CLA Coupe, this time as a CLA 220. And last time we've been driving the 250, the CLA 250, and they both have the same 2-liter turbo petrol engine, 4-cylinder. It's just a horsepower difference. The 250 has 225 horsepower. Yeah, how does that make sense? I don't know. And the 220 has 190 horsepower. Why can't they just name the models after the horsepower range or the exact displacement figure like it was used to be, like there was the Sense? Same goes for Audi, BMW and everyone, you know. The naming doesn't make sense anymore, and I think that's quite sad. There are like very few manufacturers who still have useful name. Oh, Jaguar Land Rover, well, they reintroduced a useful naming. We're saying like P300, and that is also 300 horsepower, for example. So that makes sense for the customer, I think, and also for car reviews, because we also get confused by the namings, definitely. But thing is, this one here is the true Mercedes engine. So there's very small petrol ones, they're Renault. Also for the smallest diesel, it's also Renault. And then all the 2-liter displacement engines here in the CLA and also in the A-Class, they are true Mercedes engines. And I mean, you can always argue, of course, a smaller engine would be enough for this car, yes, but yet again, and I'm not saying like that French engine is worse than the German one or something. So that's, I mean, who could really prove that? That's really hard to say. Cannot generalize. But what I, can understand is that when you buy a Mercedes, you probably also want to have a German engine, just as a fitting combination. I mean, they must have thought of something here, and it must have been a reason why they said, it's not making sense for us to develop the small engines ourselves anymore. Yeah, that's about it. So, and since this one here also is all-wheel drive, you can also take some comments on that. And both of those, actually, the 220 and the 250 CLA, are optionally available with all-wheel drive. The 35 AMG and the 45 AMG are always all-wheel drive, so front plus rear, here on demand. So, and you don't have to go for it. Also, it does not change the acceleration figure. So this car driving here right now is about 7 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And the 250 is about 6.3 seconds. So there's like a little more than half a second acceleration difference. But yet again, I always say, when you have the choice for a car, get the one with the biggest displacement, but with the lowest horsepower output. That's the more, that's the best durability for the engine, that you have the displacement, which is like the basic character for the engine, and more displacement does not mean higher consumption. Sometimes it's the other way around. I told you also last time in the Mazda 3 review that this downsizing trend is just something that is done due to the regulations and not because it makes sense. And yet again, we do favor engines that are more economical, definitely, of course. And when it's not tuned up to the most horsepower, like, in the 45, I mean, like, getting like those 400 horsepower plus from a 2-liter engine, I don't know. What about you? So I think it makes more sense in the more also, if you think long term, to get a reasonable power output out of a reasonable displacement. And I think that's the case here with this very engine, 2-liter of displacement and 190 horsepower. So if you ask me, for this very vehicle, I would probably end up buying exactly this engine. And I think the difference is also not too big to the 250. Yeah, I mean, you have this little bit different horsepower tune, and if you really accelerate 0 to 100, you will notice it. But in most of the situations, it doesn't make too much of a difference. So you can also save some money and stick with the 220. Also, if you ask me all-wheel drive, yes or no, I would probably say, yeah, I mean, it also doesn't make too much of a difference, because when you pick the all-wheel drive, there is no difference in acceleration figure, and the reason for that is, high horsepower performance cars, when they have either front wheel or rear wheel drive, or even just rear wheel drive or all-wheel drive,
then it does make a difference because it's about traction, you know, the grip the tires have. But this power region here with 190 horsepower is not a region where it's about that you need more grip at the other axle. So you can bring all the power to the ground with this 190 horsepower, even just rear the front wheels. And in most situations, you won't feel a difference. And even if you have the all-wheel drive, it's front plus rear, so also some torque then on the rear wheels. However, it doesn't change the basic driving characteristics. It will still be front wheel biased. And this is also a difference, for example, to the Mercedes C-Class, which has the rear wheel driven platform. So, about that acceleration, 50 kilometers to 100, let's go. Well, that's it. And I think that's definitely reasonable and also right sized for this car. You see, I was in sport mode, and we got also a little bit more here from the engine. I think for a 2-liter 4-cylinder, the sound was quite decent here on the interior. Or what's your take on that? Then, if you want to relax more, we can put it back to comfort mode. We can set the adaptive cruise control right here on the left side, which is a useful option, the Distronic, how they call it. Distance to the car in front of me is being kept. And here at 100 kilometers or about 60 miles an hour, perfect noise insulation. This car is so silent here for this compact segment. And also at higher speeds, you know, in the CLA 250 review, we also had like maxed it out on the motorway. So compare that if you like. At a later stage, we also have a different color there and some different landscape surrounding, always enjoyable to watch. And there they also, you know, had a very good noise insulation even at the very high speeds. So also it has a good wind, you know, coefficient. So it's, you know, really stands well in the wind. As for the aerodynamics, that also helps with noise insulation. So you really feel at home on the motorway, although it's a compact vehicle. At some point when you're tall, as me, then you do have a little bit more comfort in either SUV style cars when you sit more upright, or then also in a segment above, so a mid-size segment would be above. However, I told you earlier, size-wise, this is mid-size. However, I sometimes find the seats in the C-Class maybe a little bit more comfortable, but just a little bit. But also in general not with Mercedes. So tall people will feel a little bit more at home in a Volvo, for example, or in a Volkswagen than in the Mercedes. But if you're not as tall as me, it won't be such a problem. So definitely also great motorway. Then back to the sports mode, we're going to this roundabout, see how the steering also reacts. And as for the suspension, which is the optional adaptive suspension here today, here I would like if I would steer maybe a little bit less here, but it's still okay, natural driving feeling, get out. The suspension gives me enough feedback here in the sports mode. Wow, nice accelerating out of the corner. Although I'm missing a punch from the rear definitely, so that would be better in a Mercedes C-Class, where you accelerate out of the corners with a little rear torque, of course, rear wheel base bias, even if you have the all-wheel drive, and that gives you, you know, better drive out of the corners. However, the driving handling here is really nice. So you feel the car is light, compact, very well to handle. You're in perfect control all the time. So that is very well balanced, very well done. And you don't necessarily need an AMG version, because here when you're in the sport mode, you still have a good compromise for the adaptive suspension, that you have sportiness and comfort at the same time. When you go to the comfort mode and just have like a longer motorway ride, you can have even more dampening comfort. So I would always go here either with the base suspension if you want to save some money, if you don't want to spend so much money on a CLA, or then if you know, tend to invest a little bit more in this car, then go for the adaptive suspension, not for this fixed sport suspension, because most people I think might want to enjoy this, you know, this mix of comfort and sportiness for that. Instruments are also clear to read, but most of the time I'm looking at the head-up display anyway. So yeah, the steering could be a little bit more progressive. That's always what we say when driving the Mercedes cars. You have to steer a little bit more. Yet again, then it doesn't appear like it would be an arcade feeling, so then the steering feel is a little bit more natural. So overall, it's definitely nice. The assistance systems work very well. Maybe you at some point also saw the red triangle flashing there in the side mirrors for the blind spot monitor. Let's see, maybe I can put myself right next to the car there. Then let me overtake again. Sports mode. I wonder that in sports mode the
Start-stop function is not deactivated immediately. That's strange. Those transporters quite often accelerate really hard. So let's see. Now I put myself in the front again, and probably the transporter would like to overtake me once again. Or maybe someone is coming from behind. No. Come on, we're in a demo of a blind spot monitor here, guys. But this time, no one wanted to overtake me. Okay. Well, but maybe you've already seen it on the motorway at some point with the there will be this red triangle in the side mirrors. So that's definitely very helpful. And again, assistance systems, they all work very flawlessly. What we can still try is, here keeping me in the lane. See here, the car is steering actively, but then again, seeing that, don't trust in it 100%, because you've seen there the line was a little bit dissolving into the green, and the car wasn't realizing that much. So on the motorway, that is working very flawlessly. Also here, now he wants hands on the steering wheel. Here that was a clear line on the left, but then again, now the line is actually quite clear. So here, now it's keeping me in the inside, but again, the car does have the urge to see the right lines, and if not, that's an old Unimog. Interesting. So then, was just an example. You're still responsible, with those level 2 assistance systems. And this is, the lane keeping assist when you have the ACC set. So there's also this other assistance system that when you don't have the ACC set, and when you tend to get off the road, then there is this braking intervention, and that's something I don't like that much. So let's see if we can induce that. So for example here, when I'm now, there's a line and I'm trying to get off the road. See here, it wasn't setting in. Yeah, it's probably also more on the motorway, but we've experienced it before, that the car then uses braking intervention, not steering intervention, to get you back in the lane. And that's something where you sometimes get like, whoa, my heart. So I like a little bit better with the other manufacturers who do it with the steering intervention, like this car does when you have the ACC set. Yeah. So power-wise, again, you definitely have enough. This one should be the engine to go for. You can have fun, but yet again, you can also let it just roll and drive slowly. As for the fuel economy, you can, of course, when you really hammer it, then it's quite sensitive to hammering the throttle, this engine, definitely. But if you keep it steady and calm, you can also score something around 7 liters on 100 kilometers. So around 30 mpg US and about around 40 mpg UK. Depending on driving situations, if you use it more in the city or you hammer it a little bit more, then it will rather be more than 7 liters or then less than 30 mpg US or less than 40 mpg UK. So fuel consumption is not the best with this engine. That was, for example, better with the Mazda 3 we've recently been testing. But we cannot compare the performance that much. I mean, even like to this one here, it's about 7 seconds, and the Sky Active X in the Mazda 3 was about 8.5 seconds in acceleration, so definitely slower. Here, of course, you also have the turbo, which sets in and gives you a good boost. On the one hand, I like the naturally aspirated engines because they have a linear power output. On the other hand, this turbo gives you some more comfort in everyday driving life, because if you see, there's like a motorway, you need to do an acceleration, overtaking of a truck or something, then you always have the turbo power, just floor it out, don't pick the driving mode first or so, and you'll be just fine. The automatic gearboxes they're using here in the compact models, by the way, are dual clutch transmissions, and they are really flawless, and there are hardly any transitions between the gears, you hardly feel it. Of course, when you're in a sport mode and accelerate a little bit harder, then it's also intended that you feel that the gear is being changed. Other than that, they try to keep it rather smooth and you don't really realize that it's doing that. Here again, over some bumps, and adaptive suspension is evening it out very well. Sometimes, when you also have some rolling, it feels so soft with this adaptive suspension without much body roll, you know. That's interesting, that you sometimes think, that's so good, that's maybe even a little bit air suspension like, really cool. So with this good noise insulation and this elaborate interior, dual horizontal screen there, head-up display, cooled seats on the sustainable leatherette surface, then also the soft leatherette here at the inside of the doors where I put my arm here, for example, the voice input, all those luxury features I have, then this really very comfortable adaptive suspension. You literally feel like being in a small S-Class, and I think that's definitely a big compliment for a compact size vehicle. The limitations again are somewhat the seating space, so that will not be an issue if you're smaller than me. If you're as tall or taller than me, then it might make sense to think about, take a test ride either in a C-Class, see if the comfort a little bit better for you then, or maybe then in the counterpart SUV, which would, platform-wise also here like a Mercedes GLB, the new one. Yeah, of course, it doesn't look as fancy at this one, so that might not be a competition project for you. But seating-wise, it will be more comfortable, for example. So always when you have lower back problems, the SUVs can make sense. And there is this big SUV discussion at the moment, especially in Germany, saying like SUV are the evil cars and nothing else. But the thing is, if you think about most SUVs that are bought at the moment are small and compact SUVs. And SUVs also quite often on the very same traffic space have more interior legroom, for example, where you can drive with more people. And also the consumption due to the other building form is quite often only like half a liter more on 1 kilometer or something. So it's not that much of a difference. I think we rather have to talk about, like the length of the vehicle, which traffic space are you taking and how many people are inside? Does it make sense? Or maybe like tax cars after the overall length, for example. But we cannot say like SUV is evil and the sedan not. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's just this emotionally ridden discussion, with some good thoughts, for environment and people's safety, but it's without any, knowledge how the car market is working. So back to this car here, which is, definitely a sedan. We can say calling it coupe is marketing. Yes, definitely. It is the official name, so we also use it. And also to differentiate it, coupe versus shooting brake. They will drive the very same, by the way, so you don't feel if you're driving the coupe or the shooting brake. Same length, same wheelbase and so on. Same car, it's just that the rear trunk build is a little bit different. But here, such a flawless driving feeling. Again, for tall people, it could be a little bit more comfortable as for this, seating space you have available. That's maybe the only thing I can, find negative about this vehicle. Yet again, I'm so happy about those high-class, sustainable leatherette seats, which are also cooled. This is really amazing, for example, and all of the comfort features I have here. So this is probably the compact vehicle that feels the most elaborate, the most exclusive, the most high class. Both exterior design and especially when you sit here on the interior. So it is super expensive, yes. Starting at about 30-something K in Germany with a base model. And then the AMG models are of course double or more than double the price. But even this year at 220, you can easily get past 50 or 60,000 euros. So you can also double the price with a non-AMG model with all those extras. So that's the biggest downside of this car, is the price. The pricing is, from time to time quite ridiculous already on this car. It's maybe just that some other cars are even worse in pricing at Mercedes. So you pay for the other cars even more. So that's maybe the only thing that is getting us back to the CLA.
The compact Mercedes A-Class as a sedan, and here on the Autogefühl we also want to show you this version. For the European market it will be built in Rastatt, where also all the other compact models are being built, A-Class and B-Class in Germany. The US market will receive one from the plant in Mexico, and the Chinese market the one from China. And this is also primarily thought for the Chinese market, but as I said, it will also be available elsewhere. Let's take a look at the differences here from the sedan to the normal hatch. The front is the same, hatch and sedan. The AMG line features this diamond pin grille, my favorite Mercedes grille. Sensors are hidden behind this 2D logo, but with a 3D ring around. AMG line also features stronger lower bumper lips. This one here, for example, an A250, that would be already a quite sporty version, also with the all-wheel drive front plus rear-wheel drive on demand. That's the system. Headlamps start with halogen, optional LED, and then those ones here are the multi-beam LED, also with a high beam function. 4 meters 54 or 14 foot 9 is the total length. That's about 13 centimeters or half a foot longer than the hatch. Of course, the front is pretty much the same. Rims 16 to 19 inch. Those ones are the top 19 inch rims here in the black scheme AMG style. Also with black frames here around the windows. And then, of course, the basic difference is that we have here then a falling roofline, unlike the hatch that would just end right there, somewhat like that. It will be very interesting how that one plays out for the luggage capacity later on. This one has, let's say, more elegance. In the German market, it's pretty much unusual to buy compact sedans. But for example, in the US, it is pretty common. It's very interesting that there's still some of those differences of preference throughout the market. What do you think? Would you pick a hatch or a sedan in the compact segment? Or maybe also, mid-size segment is more about than estate or sedan. Are you a sedan lover? In the rear you can see those horizontally tall tail lamps, and this is more like a smaller C-Class sedan than visual-wise. The hatch, of course, would just have this rear right there. Fake exhaust tips in the lower end. Those are really pure fake. Diffuser here in this AMG line style. But overall, I think design-wise, it looks quite cool. Of course, there are a lot of choices there now. You have the C-Class sedan, you have the CLA, which is already 4-door. Then you have this now, the A-Class sedan. The question is, which one would you go for? I mean, it depends on the prices on each market for sure and what you really want. This one here will be less expensive than the CLA, which is, I think, very, very expensive. And, well, trunk-wise, this is an advantage then also. You have 50 liters more, 420 liters then, so 50 liters more than in the hatch. So, see, it's way longer. I see my arm completely disappears in there. And also it's quite wide to load things in. That's also due to the new A-Class generation. They have fixed that because the tail lamps were going inward like this before. The only disadvantage is that in the hatch you can easier load bulkier things in and out. Here you are, of course, limited as usual with sedans. Some more space below that. Also maybe for sound equipment. Optional, you usually can also pick some replacement tire. And you can also flip the seats. Actually, can you? There it is. So you have to release it right here. So release it from the trunk, then go around. And here we go. So again, limited in height right there. But again, you have a longer area. And some of our viewers from the South American market, for example, say we like to have really closed trunks where no one can see anything, and it would also be better, against burglary. What do you think? And to show you a different color, here also in white, the new A-Class sedan, also with a special rim trim there, pretty interesting. Of course, there will be plenty of other color choices available too, but we always like to show you as many variety as possible. This one also in the AMG style trim, as you've seen in the front grille. Pretty interesting, those copper accentuations. Those ones are also the biggest size that are available, 19 inch. So here a look under the hood. You start with the A200 with a 1.4 liter petrol, 163 horsepower. Then there's the 2 liter 4-cylinder, this one here. Either as an A220 with 190 horsepower, or then here, the very one A250, 2-liter petrol engine, 4-cylinder, 224 horsepower. Also available then with the all-wheel drive 4MATIC. And there will also be a diesel 180D 1.5 liter with 116 horsepower. Suspension-wise, by the way, there's a base suspension, there's a sport suspension, minus 50 millimeters, and then there's an adaptive, comfortable suspension. And it looks almost the same for the interior, for the seats. Soon tell you more about that. First of all, good build quality here at the inside, leather red on the door cover. Then this has aluminum style. Also for bigger models, it fits very well. So what you already find in the A-Class nowadays, a build quality you maybe had just in the E-Class in the past. Then those seats, there are base seats available, comfort seats and sport seats. Those ones here have a little bit more shoulder support, for example. A little bit more, let's say, complicated than the base seats. Take a look inside. And you also have nice seat surface materials. Those ones here are the optional animal skin packages, but you can also have, for example, an Artico or full leatherette, or also sporty Dynamica microfiber inside mix with the leatherette on the outside. So electric seat control. The lower part you can manual and lengthen right there. A little bit steeper right there. It's always complicated to do it here on the screen while the door is not closed. Seat heating is available and even seat cooling. The steering wheel can be adjusted manually. Here we go. And the question is, with 1.86 m or 6'1", well, let me put the seat in the lowest position. And, well, with the panoramic roof, it does come a little bit close. I wonder, those seats seem to be a little bit higher maybe than the seats we just tested in other A-Class sedans. That's pretty close as for the headroom here, at least when you pick the panoramic roof. I really wonder, because for example in the A35 with the sport seats, there was a little bit more headroom. Might be that those seats here are a little bit higher. So it does work for me, but if you're taller, then you should probably leave out the panoramic roof. That will be easier then for you. Maybe like this, yeah. Interesting. So, and here in the front you can see you start with a 7-inch screen on the left and 10.25-inch on the right. This is an optional, the highest equipment level with all the screen all over the place. Two 10.25-inch screens. You control with the left thumb the left screen, and with your right thumb then you control the right screen. And there's also this touchpad here in the lower part where you can also control the infotainment system with. It also has a haptic feedback. You feel it in your fingers. And the different driving modes, they make sense when you have the adaptive suspension, that you tune the suspension, and also how the car is reacting throttle input wise. And also a look at the darker interior without the strange red stuff. This one also the so-called edition 1. But those seats here with Dynamica microfiber on the inside and leatherette on the outside, you can also get for all usual Mercedes A-Class. Interesting mix and makes sense sustainability wise, and also stays warm in winter and cool in summer. So also you see those other sport seats with some shoulder accentuations, and I can really recommend you to go for this mix. So what about the rear leg room and also the headroom right in the rear there? So first of all, I do fit in here as a tall adult, even if a tall adult is driving. Not plenty of legroom, but it's still the compact segment. And we also see that in the A35 with the sport seats, with the slimmer sport seats, you have a little bit more legroom. Interesting. Headroom-wise, yes, it's a sedan. It's a little bit longer than the hatch, and it does exactly fit. My hairs already touched the ceiling, but, you know, so it's a little bit more cramped than in the hatch, I would say, because the roofline falls a little bit. Sport mode. Pretty decent. And that wasn't even flooring it out. So let's give it for you again. With really flooring it out, let's do some 35 to 60. Plop, that's it. That was already 70 now. So this 4-cylinder engine can actually be pretty explosive, and the sound can also be decent. And we're equipped with the adaptive suspension. So in the sport mode, it's also a little bit stiffer. And I mean, it's a compact, short wheelbase car. So we have a lot of good driving fun for sure. I already feel it right now. Precise steering. The suspension now is giving me a little bit more feedback. So this is a lot of fun.
And I think, well, if I think about driving the previous generation, I was, for example, also driving the 250, the A250, and this one here offers you definitely more comfort now. I think this is, without losing any of the sporty touch. You can keep your hands at the steering wheel all the time. See here, this corner, I don't have to steer that much. Yeah, this could be a little bit smoother, this acceleration. Then, first I'm missing just a little bit, but then the turbo sets in, and then I get the boost. This could be a little bit more harmonic, maybe. That's definitely a lot of fun. Well, in the sport mode, you get a little bit more boost as well. There's not much understeer or something. The car is also not that heavy, and we're not getting pushed out of the corner. Also now the sound insulation at about 90 kilometers an hour is super silent in here. So I guess this is the most silent compact segment car we've driven so far. Now a little bit fast in the corner. Very precise to put the car on the road there again. Wow, that's a lot of fun. Really great. The steering could be a little bit more progressive or direct to me. That is, my personal preference. That would be a little bit cooler. And again, if you're maybe sometimes a little bit too fast in the corner, the brakes are also working very well. You can hold the car back very easily. If you're in the comfort mode, by the way, a little bit more relaxing then. But at the same time, due to this adaptive suspension, you can react on the situation, and the car also does it a little bit on its own. And then I think one of the main aspects here is that they have improved sportiness and comfort at the very same time, and also more sovereign in the road as the car is a little bit longer. And now the driving part, or Thomas's driving launch with the new Mercedes A-Class, and well, those are speed bumps here on the road, and the car is handling that very well. You have 3 different suspensions available. Base, then a 50 millimeters lower sports suspension, and then this one we have today here, the adaptive one. So this one reacts on the situation, and you can also set different driving modes. And we're starting in the normal comfort mode here, and what I can say so far is those bumps are evened out very well, and also when we have some waves in the road. At the same time, you have a very sporty driving feeling. So, you feel that instantaneously that this suspension is really superb. The steering, by the way, has a rather natural feeling. C is also pretty precise. However, if you compare it to other compact segment cars and also other brands in general, it's that with Mercedes, usually you have to steer a little bit more. For example, when you compare it with Audi or BMW, which have a little bit more direct steering input. That's not what you would say like this is good or this is bad. That's just personal preference. For me personally, I like it when it's a little bit more progressive. But some others prefer it the way Mercedes handles it, because it maybe it's not that progressive, not that direct, but it feels a little bit more natural. So that's really a matter of preference. One thing they've worked on majorly is also the sound insulation, and we were driving like 50, 60 kilometers an hour, and you hear nothing, and you wouldn't expect that you are just in a compact segment. It's, whoa, that is some, talking about diesel fumes, just look in the front there. Yeah, you wouldn't expect such a sound insulation in a compact segment car, so it's really very silent in here. Oh, we won't make the car dirty. And yeah, I mean, that was one of the things they've worked on majorly. And vibrations, they're basically none, at least none I feel. So they've really made this rather small car very sophisticated. From a seating position, you still feel you are not in the C-Class, for example. So if you ask yourself, when this car has everything almost like with a C or E-Class, why would you go for a bigger one from Mercedes? You do have a difference still, yes. And I mean, that's it's good to hear also for the brand, because otherwise we would just sell A-Class. but of course the differences diminish one by one. You know, when you're a tall person, it's definitely a good compact segment car. But for me personally, for example, I still have some more long-term driving comfort in a C-Class. So that would be my main reason to step up the game.
So where does that leave us? Of course, the Mercedes S-Class is the most exclusive one. It does give you the most plush ride, so to speak, with this floating air suspension. And if you need the rear comfort, for example, it just has so much more rear space than all the others. Yet again, the question is if you need that. Of course, we here in Autogefühl, we always focus on drivers' cars. We all love to drive our cars, and maybe the rear is not that important to you. Then, of course, depending on the use case, you can also use both. Sometimes drive yourself and sometimes being driven, depending on the situation. The S63, I have to say, this plug-in hybrid concept is on the one hand cool if you can commute all electric and so on, but then again having a pure V8 just fits more to the S-Class, I feel, so I wasn't too enthusiastic about the S63. Then the new Mercedes E-Class almost delivers as much driving experience like the S-Class, I felt. So I feel that in this very generation the E-Class moved more closer towards the S-Class, whereas in the previous generation I felt a bigger gap between these two vehicles. And special to me with the E-Class is always it conveys a certain E-Class experience, and this is unlike with any other car and with any other brand in a way that throughout the generations, no matter which generation it was, if you go into an E-Class, you get a certain feeling, even with closed eyes, I'm driving in a Mercedes E-Class. You know what I mean? And this is a very special thing they achieved here with the E-Class. The Mercedes C-Class, it also offers very modern plug-in hybrid systems, for example, if you need that. Also, of course, petrol and diesel engines. Also available both a sedan, as a state and so on, and different versions. We also had it here in the C43 AMG trim, which has been discussed because of this 4-cylinder thing. In that case, I think it's okay. It drives really, really well. It has a lot of fun potential. Yet the C63 also has the 4-cylinder, so then you might as well just go for the C43, I feel. The CLS, this 53 AMG version we had here as well, but also in general about the CLS, I think it has a great beauty in the style, and in the previous generation, if you decide between E-Class and CLS, you might as well also go for the CLS. Of course, here you can see the older style if you compare it to the all-new E-Class generation and so on. But I think the CLS always has been a very interesting offer in the Mercedes portfolio and was sometimes a little bit underrated, I feel. The Mercedes CLA on that compact platform, I think they really nailed it with the design, and that's why it's also still selling quite well. Then again, the price can be easily very high, although it is based on that compact platform, and the size is basically not that different from a Mercedes C-Class. So then of course the question is, why would you go for a CLA compact platform when you could as well go for a C-Class? And also if the price is not that different, because when you put extras in it, it can easily exceed, maybe like double the entry price or something. And the Mercedes A-Class, this is also where it doesn't get so logical in their lineup, I feel. I mean, C-Class, CLA and A-Class sedan, they all don't differ so much in the size. The A-Class, a little bit shorter, yes, but overall I feel that they almost serve the same customer group in a way. And also if you look at the price differences, depending of course how you spec the vehicles. So I feel in that case the lineup is just too similar and it's kind of doubling, you know what I mean? An A-Class hatch of course is something different, but then the question is also, if you go for an A-Class sedan, why wouldn't you pick a CLA? But then also, why wouldn't you pick a C-Class? You know what I mean? Overall, the best choice I feel is the Mercedes E-Class. It does already give you the best comfort, even if the S-Class maybe is a little bit more floaty from that air suspension. The E-Class drives very, very well also if you compare it to the competitors and so on. Then again, if you go for a C-Class mid-trim or high trim, it can easily achieve a price of a Mercedes E-Class low trim. So if you ask me for the best price performance here, I would rather go for a low trim Mercedes E-Class. Don't exceed it with all the extras and so on. Pick just the most essential one, keep it simple, keep it classy and so on, then you will have a very good Mercedes E-Class, and I think this is just nailing it in their Mercedes portfolio. What do you think? Which one would you go for? Tell me why, and see you at our next comparison episode.